Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are going to finish Katawa Shoujo. Hopefully. I think we're going to finish it. I think we're pretty close. Anyway, right. So, I had to go do a few things. Deal with the fam, watch my. Had an interesting talk with different people, including my sister, and just found out that I probably have anxiety and lots of it. So, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So, we're going to play some Katawa Shoujo. Let's finish. Oh yeah, let's turn the music on. Turn the music on. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna start from where we left off. Hopefully there won't be any porn this time, but just in case, you know. I don't know why YouTube says they made my stream 18 plus because I'm pretty sure that I selected for it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be bad. I'm trying to be good. I don't know. Maybe they just don't like me. They don't like boxes on their stream. They don't like furries. Anyway, let's continue, shall we? Correct procedure. Yo, we're talking to Acura. We're gonna go to the. I think we were going to go to the store or something with our new girlfriend. Yeah, that's where we went. Thank you. Please come again. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. Change in temperature as I step outside from the convenience store sends a chill up my spine. It feels like summer's starting to wind down. Looking to my side, the same feeling seems to affect Lilly as well. Though, unlike me, she doesn't manage to hide that fact. Something I didn't realize at first was how physically delicate she is, even compared to the likes of Hanako. If I had to describe her, I'd have to say she reminds me of a China doll. Aw. Acura walks up behind her and gives her a couple hard pats on her shoulder, much to Lily's consternation. For a moment, she looks as envious of my status as an only child as I am of their close relationship. I'm not sure that's something to be... Well, I don't know. They talk between themselves for a few moments as I sort out my bags, their voices too low for me to catch, but eventually they break off and we begin to walk back to the school. Feels good to be out of that damned office. You kids don't know how good you have it here. Kids. You too, then. Kids grow up so fast nowadays. You're not old enough to say that. I don't know, being around Hideaki makes me feel damned old. He's so precocious, he reminds me of you when you were younger. He's a nice boy. It would be a shame if Shizune comes to have too much of an influence on him. Akira gives an amused snort at her sister's antipathy. She really doesn't seem to regard it as anything to make a serious fuss about, treating it more like a childhood spat. She looks over to me, apparently only just remembering that I'm here, and gives a small grin as she reaches toward her back pocket. What is it? Just a sec, let me dig it out. After quite some difficulty, she managed to retrieve her black leather wallet from her back pocket, quickly fishing out what looks like to be a folded square of paper. With Lily all but unaware of what's happening, Akira unfolds the scrap and hands it to me. Oh my gosh. It's an old photo of what looks like to be a younger Lily and Shizune operating a noodle stall, with some other girl in the background. She looks vaguely familiar, but I can't quite pinpoint why. What is it, Akira? I think you know. Lily mulls over for a few moments before the realization dawns on her. Akira, you really needn't. It's fine, isn't it? Besides, it's like the only photo I have of you two since you entered Yamaku, when you're not at each other's throats. I look down at the photo in my hand. It does seem strange to see Lily and Shizune together so diligently without any sign of animosity. If the photos of them during the Yamaku festival, that means it must have been taken 1 or 2 years ago. In other words, the time they were both in the student council together. Who's the girl in the back? She looks kind of familiar. Ha, I knew you wouldn't recognize her. It's Misha before she went and dyed her hair pink. Based. That's Misha? No way. It feels extremely strange to see Misha without her very distinctive hairstyle. Judging from Akira's tone, she doesn't take favorably to Misha's idea of fashion. I suppose that fact just accentuates how odd the situation looks. To think they were so friendly in the past, I just wish I could do something to mend their relationship. Being very quiet, Hisao. It just feels kind of strange to see you all so friendly like this. He moves to say something but stops herself. In the end, this isn't a matter for me. It's between Shizune, Lilly, and nobody else. Things change, fortunately. Hand the photo back to Akira, who sighs as she folds it up and slides it back into her wallet. A little memory, quietly hidden away, to be pulled out again sometime later. Yeah, that they do. I initially think Akira's reaction to be simply in response to the situation between Lilly and Shizune, but she looks oddly glum compared to what I'd expect. His expression is clouded as well. What's wrong? Ah, it's just that I'll be going to Scotland fairly soon. You're leaving for Scotland again? For a long moment, Akira looks surprised. It's an ill-fitting expression for her. After a glance at Lilly, she turns back to me as if she'd never done so. Yeah, in a couple weeks, I'll be leaving for Inverness to work at the company's headquarters. It's a pretty big jump into corporate position, and it's not a chance that it's going to come again. So, Akira is going to leave Japan on what seems to be a permanent basis. I can't help but feeling that my assumption that we could all happily while away our days, having fun in this isolated little world, is coming to an end. It's unsettling. I look at Lilly, mildly surprised that she hasn't told me much a thing, despite usually being so forthcoming. She continues to walk with her face fixedly pointed ahead. I can't read her expression, nor can I guess what's on her mind, which is discomforting, given how it's usually easy for me to do both. It reminds me of the time when we met at Shanghai, before what could be called our first date. At the time, all I could think to do was to comfort her without knowing the cause, and now it feels no different. As we finally reach the old school dormitories once again, there's somewhat awkward silence. I don't think I'm the only one who feels it. See you tomorrow then, Lilly. Bye, Akira. Good night, Hisao. See ya. And with that, they walk to the female dormitories. From the door to the male dormitories, I stop and look back at them just moments before their figures disappear behind the heavy wooden door. That was a strange moment when Akira said she was leaving. Well, that wasn't the first time when my thoughts regarding the new life had been called into question. It's perhaps the first time to do it quite so profoundly. I still don't know what to make of Akira's reaction, much less of Lily's. The night's chill reminds me to get back in my room before I grab something. My bag's pulling down my arms with a seemingly redoubled weight. If nothing else, I have a date with her set up for the weekend. I just need to stop overthinking stuff, and I can get on with things as they are. The exams are still ongoing, after all, and the trimester's end and the summer's holidays becoming soon. There'll be plenty to keep me busy for a while. Give a yawn and retreat inside. My thoughts turn to what Lilly will decide to set as the location of our weekend rendezvous. Interesting. Time for a drink. I'm pretty sure this is about the last thing I had in mind when Lilly said she'd decide where to have her date. No man nor woman is dressed in anything but their finest, their formality only matched by that of their surroundings. Rich red paper adorns the walls, the city lights far below flicker and glow. Combined with the ambient hum of quiet speech and the high-pitched clattering of cutlery and wine glasses, the mood is very formal, yet relaxed enough for me not to feel too uptight, despite this being our first real date. Once we get seated, our waiter leaves to attend the others with a quick bow after an appreciative nod from Lily. Far from depending on my help, Lily's managed to navigate herself around surprisingly easily so far, despite the unfamiliar environment. light brush here and there, and she's generally quite deft at orienting herself as needed. You know, I just realized he asked a blind girl to pick a date. She probably... Oh my god, oh, she looks so cute. Oh my god, it looks just like the picture. My eyes look into Lily's. I can tell from her face that she's listening to her surroundings just as hard as I'm looking. Truth be told, my eyes are leaning on her each time they sweep across the room. The red cheongsam she's wearing accentuates her figure so well, and shows off her legs. Even her hair is done. And the scent of perfume is just as noticeable. While my black suit is maybe a rental, I managed to select an appropriate one. It feels surprisingly comfortable considering I've so rarely worn one. And it fits the setting just as well as Lily's attire. I guess this is a new experience for both of us then. Turns somewhat sheepish. I've never come to a place such as this before. No. What a hell of a first date, that's for sure. It's going to be pretty hard for me to top this. A small giggle. Even now, our nervousness is dissipated. Her hand skates along the center of the table until it touches the menu, which she takes in both hands and brings to her face. I think what's interesting is, yeah, even though they did, like, you know, fuck, right? Even though they did, it definitely captures how new and scared they both are still, because they don't really know each other that well. And I think that's really nice that Katawa Shoujo did this. Even if they did it so suddenly, I feel like it should have been like an option to like skip that, you know, or like maybe a different path within this that would have been like, you know, less awkward for both of us. But I guess, you know, what can you ask out of a couple 4chaners who made this, I suppose? What is it too much to ask? Maybe so. Isao? Below the beige laminated sheet just below her eyes, I can see another sheepish look. I doubt asking the waiter for the menu in Braille would be productive. I can read out for you, no problem. I take mine and give it a quick read. A small grin faltered. Perhaps there is... What's wrong? There are quite a few minions on here, and I'm not completely sure how to pronounce a couple of them. One fine cuisine after another is listed. Most may be in Japanese, but a few of them are in English and French. I guess that is to be expected, but I have no idea what's in some of these. This one I recognize. Wait, hang on. You can cook that? A small giggle of amusement comes from behind the paper sheet. Well, I could read them all out, but it'd take a few hours. Is there anything with some kind of fish in it? Let's see. No, 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 no. Aren't those poisonous? No, no, no. They keep that stuff? No, 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 no. Here we go. A tuna salad seems like a good bet. From the picture, it looks like it'd be pretty filling as well. That seems to be a reasonably safe option. Let's order 2 then. I'm pretty sure a couple of these dishes are from poisonous animals. I've had enough of deadly run-ins for now. Lily maintains a smile. There's a distinct lack of laughter. Black humor mustn't be her cup of tea. Though to be honest, I don't find it exceedingly funny either. There are certainly quite a few interesting smells wafting about. Same is true for the sights, I assume. I've never been anywhere quite like this. A fancy Japanese tea house on an occasion or two, but never anything this lavish nor European in style. Before another word can be said, a portly waiter in a distressingly tight vest appears at our table to take our orders. Provincial tuna salad, Nikoise, please, 2. What? Nikoise? I probably didn't say that right. I hope I didn't mess up the pronunciation of that too badly. Even if I did, he doesn't show it. And may I have a glass of Chardonnay, please? He's out. Oh, say. The waiter nods and leaves. And suddenly I realize I said by absent-mindedly mimicking Lily's answer. I regret it pretty quickly. Alcohol. Only a bit. This girl has an odd propensity for getting hooked on things, I swear. Gotta watch her, Isa. Gotta watch her. Surprising they didn't ask for identification. Then again, I guess we both do look mature for our age. I'll have to take your word for it. I'll add that this isn't what I'd call the type of place to ask such things, though. Good point. We both relax a little into our seats, trying to take our minds off the choking formality of the surroundings. As soon as we do, the same waiter reappears at our table with 2 empty glasses and a bottle, the contents of which are quickly and professionally poured into the former. Dang. We both nod politely as he leaves, Lilly taking her glass and gently moving it from side to side. The liquid inside glistens as it moves around the glass, and I have to admit, it makes me a little less regretful for ordering the same. It's a Chardonnay, dude. It's a wine. Come on. It's good stuff. I guess it must take effort to judge how the liquid inside is acting based on only its center of balance. Maybe it's like her origami, taking every little chance to practice her dexterity. I guess I'm not surprised you know about a place like this. Those who have money would, I suppose. Isao, you mother How she hasn't, like, fucking slapped the shit out of you is amazing. It's like, oh, by the way, you're rich. Jesus Christ. Jesus, fuck. This reminds me of just how completely different our upbringings are. In Yamaku, it's easy to forget about the social and economic disparity between students all wearing the same uniforms, living in the same dormitories. Well, Akira was the one to tell me of it. She's come here before, apparently. So that's what they were conspiring about on Friday. You chastised me for cheating. It's not cheating, it's simply making use of my personal contacts. If you say so. Still, I get the feeling that you're more familiar with this kind of restaurant than I am. She pauses for a moment, a wistful look on her face, before softly smiling. The compliment seems to brighten her mood. You can thank my formal school for that. If I were to appear any less, they'd be gravely disappointed. She has mentioned her previous schooling before, but now I'm kind of curious. She seems to think a lot about her past, so I don't see any problem in asking. What was that like? It was a prestigious all-girls and Catholic. These facts made my parents choose it for me. Many wealthy families sent their daughters there. Ooh, you got a Catholic girl. Oh, it's over, dude. Catholic, cute, blonde. You're done. It's over. From how it sounds, life there must have been pretty strict. I wouldn't say it was a bad experience, but you're quite right, it was very strict. Thankfully, I managed to adapt well enough and make a number of friends. Fortunately, the same can't be said for my sister. She found the atmosphere and religious aspects suffocating, and ended up leaving for a job as soon as she was able to. She has a small, self-deprecating chuckle. I shouldn't complain about it, though. Not many have had the chance to go to such a school. Do you resent your parents for sending you there, then leaving? She gently shakes her head. My family is highly patriarchal. My father, business always on his mind, was entirely lost as to what to do with me. In the end, he made the decision that my education was of higher priority than staying with the family. He simply did what he thought was best. To say things so easily, an unbelievable girl. That said, I'm a little surprised she doesn't think her blindness played any part at all. Maybe I'm being too harsh on her family. You're too kind-hearted, you know that? Most would hate their parents for something like that. Well, some do. Oblivious to my raised eyebrow, she takes a sip from her glass. The wine slips down her effortlessly, her fondness for it evidently helping her deal with the flavor of alcohol. I can't say the same thing goes for me. What of yourself? What was your schooling like? Mine? Let's see. It's a fairly normal public school, I suppose. A bit busier than the norm. I did quite well in class and played in the soccer club. Since I'm an only child, both my parents worked a lot. I wasted most of my free time and money at the arcade with my 3 friends. No matter how much I played, though, I never did manage to beat Mai at any of those machines. Even Takumi and Shien lost to her whenever they tried. And then I'd be left trying to be the responsible adult when Shin and Mai fought. Again. I take a drink. Just the four of us, aimlessly enjoying our childhood. Those were some pretty silly times. I catch myself as I realize that I'm starting to zone out. The days of my old school disappearing to the night sky, the bright city lights outside the window. Lily's face is an odd mixture of curiosity and sympathy. Given her strict schooling, I suppose something like this would seem interesting in contrast to the only life she's known. It sounds like your previous school was a lot of fun. I'm not really sure how much of it was nostalgia, but there are some nice memories. It's in the past, though. I can't go back there now, but through my accident, I found a new life that I'd never imagined I'd be leading. The peace and calm of Yamaku, the new direction for my future in science, the friendship of Shizune, Misha, and Hanako, and most of all, you. She gives a deep, genuine smile as she moves her hands towards me, her fingers just lightly searching out my face before softly caressing my cheek. Blind girl did this to me. That is the sexiest shit ever. Oh my god. Like, babe. Just imagine, like, girl just like touching your face and then just reaching around and just. That'd be hilarious and sweet and sexy. Her hand reluctantly retreats after a second of warm silence as we notice the waiter arriving with our meals. Well, she's certainly more reserved than I would be. That's for sure. He does a deft job of covering her condition, except for the fact that her nod to him is slightly misaligned due to his silence. She really seems to work hard at appearing as normal as possible in public. While I noticed it long ago, I can't quite gauge whether it's a want to not be treated differently, a slight sense of vanity, or some mixture of both. The dish served up lives up to its salad name. The portions pleasantly large. With the sliced eggs and tomato, it looks very enticing indeed. Lily takes her knife in one hand and the fork in the other, quickly getting to work on the dish as I do. It's later than when we usually have dinner, so we're both eager to dig in. My cautious skewering of the leaves and vaguely meat-like squares with my fork is matched by Lily's silent and measured prodding and chewing. An occasional tap around the sides of a piece of food to work out its edges is a giveaway to her lack of sight. I'm done with my meal in a little time. Lily is taking the last few bites as I sit observing. Finished, he said? Yeah, it was pretty nice. That much was very true. I never thought a simple salad could be so tasty and filling. Then again, I suppose that's why it costs so much to eat here. Content with my appraisal, evidently agreeing, Lily gives a small nod. You know, given that you're part foreign, exotic looking, and quite pretty, I'm surprised that nobody's ever confessed to you before. You're assuming nobody did. She knows. That simple statement takes me off guard. I shouldn't be surprised, given that I was complimenting her just moments before. Oh, really? I've received several confessions, both in this school and my previous one. Adolescence is a funny time. She's kind of talking as if she's above it herself. Okay. Oh, how easily you say such a thing. Lily looks surprised for a moment before a playful smirk covers her face. Is that jealousy? What? No, it isn't. You're a bad liar, he sounds. You should take that into account. Then again, I do appreciate how sincere you are, even if you don't intend to be sometimes. I think your honesty will always serve you well when dealing with others. I clear my throat in mock disapproval of this whole business and try to steer the conversation elsewhere. To tell the truth, I do prefer solitude to being surrounded by others. I don't think I could maintain a social circle like you do. She contemplates this for a moment. I don't think that's true either. I've seen how gentle and caring you are around Hanako, and you get on marvelously well with others, even those whom you hardly know. You're quite adept at social situations. But on that note, what of your confessions, Hisao? I'm sure someone like you must have had at least one admirer. As I open my mouth to speak, I feel my face turn slightly bluer. At times like this, I secretly appreciate the fact that she can't see my expressions. Just one. Her name was Iwanako. It was when she confessed to me that I had my heart attack. There in the woods during the winter. She finds herself speechless, not expecting for such a topic to move into such an area. The condition has always been something of concern for her, something that I strive to minimize despite my body's best efforts to the contrary. Afterwards, she visited me for a while when I was in the hospital. The week she came in and talked, it was usually just small talk or classroom gossip, but that was enough. But eventually, she just stopped coming. She was there every day, and the other day, once a week. And finally, one day, she just stopped visiting entirely. Did you ever see her again? Back to my own little world, I shake my head before remembering the futility of the gesture. A minute. We're on... I'm not gonna drop the fucking subject. Fuck that shit. The memory of that single letter Iwanako sent me comes back to my mind. We're on a train here, let's just keep going. Never saw her again, but after I was sent to Yamaku, she wrote me one letter. His face shows an expression I know, well, piqued her interest. I'd be slightly offended that it's simply a matter of curiosity to her, but she's never been very good at masking her reactions. In hindsight, it didn't really say much. What was going on in my old class, how she was faring, was almost as an afterthought. I thought it was probably best for both of us that we didn't see each other again. Reading it, I ended up reassessing a lot of things that I thought I'd managed to work out. For the most part, that letter reminded me that the world around me was still moving, and just how much I'd become isolated from it. And I guess it also reminded me of what I'd lost. She gives some of the information some thought before her face lights up in realization. No doubt she's worked out that this letter, which had contributed to my angst during that lunch on the rooftop. It's a rare sight to see Lilly quite so lost for words. Her entire persona is a little deflated from her earlier rapt interest. That's what it means? Okay, as charismatic as she is, in the end, that isn't any replacement for life nor relationship experience. Perhaps it is better she sent it than not. How's that? It can be difficult to work out how to best communicate with those you haven't met in a long time, all the more so considering your separate situations. Instead of doing what was easiest, she built up the courage to talk to you one last time, not only for her sake, from how it sounds, but for yours as well. Maybe. I don't hate her for it. Not that I ever really did, but I don't know. Probably a more non-committal answer than I should give, but it isn't without cause. I've never looked at the situation from Iwanako's perspective like that before. Seconds pass in silence before Lilly speaks again. Moving to Yamaku must have been hard for you, having your friends and even your girlfriend taken from you for no fault of your own. The worst of it passed while I was in the hospital. When all that surrounds you is four white walls and a small television, your mind takes a life of its own. It's like my old school, I guess. I try not to dwell on what's happened and keep thinking ahead. All that reminiscing does is get me down, and it's largely thanks to you that it feels like things are finally getting back on track. That's pleasing to hear, Isao. She lowers her face slightly, her expression pensive. Guess I went too far and I embarrassed her. Maybe I detect a hint of codependency. I suppose you went through something a bit like what I did when you entered Yamaku anyway, right? I imagine the vast majority of our school students did after all. You said it yourself that you made friends in your old school. I can't imagine many followed you. Lily's deep smile drops, her expression unexpectedly darkens. Even her hands retreat to her lap. For a long while, she speaks. Isao, can you promise not to tell anyone else what I'm about to? I promise. She looks slightly taken aback by my serious tone, then relents and smiles weakly before continuing. When I moved to Yamaku, I did regret losing the friends I had at my other school. But there was one person I most regretted not seeing again. He was the reason I took up English as a future career. Oh, shit. He? Considering she came from an all-girls school, this can't have been a schoolmate then. I rejected all the confessions I perceived until then for him. Every time I improved my English skills, his praise was my most treasured reward. It's funny, isn't it? Someone like me, able to boast about the people who have set eyes on me, liking someone so utterly unattainable as my tutor. Ah, classic. It's truly the most ridiculous thing. Did you? She quickly shakes her head from side to side. Well, even if she did, bro, I mean, clearly it was it's clearly you were her first man, so, you know, from we can deduce from the pained expression on her face when she sat on top of you, you know. This is nothing to fucking worry about. I couldn't. Even then I knew it was impossible. Silence reigns over both of us. This does seem to explain her ardent focus on her future in teaching English, but I can't help but thinking her confession to me. She lost him without ever letting her feelings be known. Did she somehow fear that it would happen again, but with me? I don't really know what to make of it. I've heard such relationships before, taboos born of such things as puberty and youth. The fact that she had the good judgment to not act on it, though, is heartening. It'll be a thorn in her mind for as long as you're alive, Hisao. Oh, hello. Hello, Galaxy. Hi. I didn't see you there. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, we're on a date with our girlfriend. So far. And she just confessed, was like, well, yeah, there's this teacher dude I liked in high school, and I thought was kind of hot, you know. I know this must sound strange, but please, don't think of me. I'm just sad I posted late. Posted late? No? I don't know what you mean by that, but don't think of me. Why would I think any less of you for that? To be honest, I think he must have been a very nice person. You liked him so much. Not only that, you stopped yourself before going too far. Isao, my man. Boy. Oh boy. No. It's too late. Our boy's gone. He's gone, man. The blue pill has already affected his system. He's a goner. Oh boy. For a moment, she looks somewhat lost. Most unexpectedly, though, she isn't a second before she starts to laugh. The sound takes me off guard. It's not a giggle nor a restrained chuckle, but to be honest, it's honest and genuine laughter. I find myself smiling. It's not just at her display of relief and happiness, but for her to trust me enough to let me see this most private of secrets. Before I realize it, I feel her palm touching my face. Her touch is as gentle as ever, with her thumb slowly stroking my cheek. You're kind, Hisao. I really do love you. Seeing her face like this, with her palm gently caressing my face, I think tonight has been a wonderful night. I guess we've both had pretty weird pasts, eh? I think by most standards, our present is rather odd as well. I smile and hang my head. This woman can easily run rings around me, of that I'm quite sure. You're playing with fire, dude. You will. And can. Look around the room, what its continuing quiet of hum of patrons. Ugh. This place probably fits into the odd category, too. It is a tad overbearing. That's one word for it, yeah? I catch the eye of a scurrying waiter, a short, scrawny guy, no older than 20. He kind of reminds me of Kenji, although, unlike him, the waiter isn't dressed for winter during midsummer. After a curt bow and an offer to remove our plates, Lilly asks for the bill politely and softly. Expert coordination, he maneuvers around the tables, our plates in hand, to retrieve our bill. It didn't sound loud in my head. In no time, he reappears to the door, smartly handing our bill to Lilly, who prompts to hand it to me, causing him to raise an eyebrow. Okay. As I read the small computer-printed leaflet, the cost is considerably more than I expected. Isao? Oh, I quickly stammer out the amount, to which Lily merely nods and reaches for her purse. Nice. Good job. Giving her card to the waiter, he disappears once again. That was a disproportionately large amount of money. That statement seemed to make Lily slightly uncomfortable. My family leaves me more than enough for my education. The same goes for my sister, though she dislikes being reminded of that fact. Mommy GF vibes, but doesn't want to be the mommy GF. Very realistic. That said, I too dislike throwing money about, but this one time I think I can make an exception, just for you. Mommy GF alert. Not only did you choose our date, but you paid for both of us as well. I take the bridge of my nose in my fingers. What? Oh my gosh. Shit. I've actually been on dates with girls that actually paid, and it's weird. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. It was more like, no, I haven't. Never mind. But it does remind me of the time I did go on a date with this one girl, and we went to like a Mexican candy shop, right? I was introduced to the concept of mangoladas or something. We got like mangoladas, and then she'd like to have this chili sauce called chamoy on it, you know? She'd get chamoy on it, you know? And I also got chamoy, and it was a lot of fun, because I've never experienced that before, and it was like, I was someone who had a lot of self-hatred for my culture at the time. Like, half of my culture is Mexican, and she just kind of inspired me to not hate that part of myself anymore, and that there were good parts of it, you know? Even if she was into the stupid Shoujo aesthetic, and just kind of like, was kind of hoping that I would, you know, adopt that a little bit. She was always like, you sound so white for a Mexican. Why do you sound so white even though you look Mexican as fuck? Like, I don't know. I grew up in like a Christian town with a bunch of German people, I guess. Or people with German heritage, so it's kind of like, you know, I just kind of adopted the culture. It's, you know, it's silly ass woman. Alright. I can't believe how high you have set the bar for our next date. My boy, you just gotta get a little creative. Just gotta maybe try going to Mount Fuji or something. There's a small girl. I'll be looking forward to it, Hisao. The waiter reappears beside us, as if by magic, and hands Lily's card back to me. Evidently picking up on her lack of sight, he places the card in her hand with an extra, perhaps unneeded amount of firmness to make sure of her grip. Leaving, he exercised a measure of diplomacy by keeping a neutral face despite my own expression. How polite. Clapping my hands together, I stand up from my seat in order to bring an end to our night out. Oh, you don't know why you're doing that, but okay. Shall we be off then, milady? Okay. I can roll with that. Time for a drink. Ugh. What's going on here? Yeah! I snap upwards out of my sheet and still bolt upright in bed, as if an electric shock has just run through my entire body. The night air feels cold and sweat on my bare skin, breathing short and rugged, nearly to the point of hyperventilation. Mind racing, I bring my hand into my head in an attempt to soothe my body's panic state. It takes me a number of seconds to realize my hand is shaking violently, even as I press it against my face. More seconds pass in complete silence, my desperate attempts to subdue my body and mind slowly, thankfully, working. Gathering myself, I could feel this man's anxiety. I take the measure of the state that I'm in. Feels like I've run a marathon, every muscle feeling tensed and sweat practically pouring off me. I think you had a heart murmur, my friend. You had a heart murmur. Carefully direct my attention to the beating in my chest, measuring out the rhythm in my head. Sure enough, my unreliable heart is functioning properly. For once. Just, what the hell was that? Heart attack? A bad nightmare? Medicine side effects? I've heard about panic attacks. and thus does seem to have the hallmarks of one. Can't even be bothered to be thinking about it right now. I feel utterly exhausted yet completely awake after this experience. You're alive. I look over to the other side of my bed, the pale white of the silent figure's face almost glowing in the nighttime darkness. Just the sight of her is enough to calm me down significantly. I know that feeling. I love that when it happens. It's nice. Her graceful demeanor persists even while she's asleep. Her perfectly measured breathing and gentle face makes it impossible to tell whether she's awake or truly sleeping. God damn. Giving into temptation, I delicately run my fingertips over her hand. Her skin is soft to the touch, as it always has been, yet warm even in the cold night. At times like this, it's silently appreciating each other's presence that I feel like we're the closest. Yeah, that's how it'd be. It's kind of funny. I feel like I've been ironically closer with a person through a phone screen rather than, another relationship I'd been in where I was sleeping in the same bed with them. And actually, I've never actually done that before. It's like, because I remember asking my ex this, even though it was a silly request and I knew it could get me killed or stabbed by her ex, because we were all living under the same roof, which is fucking stupid. But, we all felt what we felt and did what we did, so. And all I wanted from her was just to feel like that she loved me, and not just fucking me silly. It was the emptiest I've ever and most lonely I've ever felt my entire life, and yet I was no longer a virgin. And the only time I feel like I felt this is when I was sleeping in my apartment and my old girlfriend was, on the phone and she was just sleeping on the phone and I would just listen to her breathing and yeah, yeah, it was fuck this game. Fuck this game, man. My fingers stop at her wrist, and I bring my hand back down to the bed beside me. I'm not entirely sure why, but as we became ever closer to each other, it felt as if something grew between us. I'm not sure entirely what it was, whether it existed before we'd fallen in love. We grew closer, bro. It happens. You start making plans with them, you trust each other more, you push the limits of what it is to become one with someone. And you literally just want to like jump inside their body every chance you can. Whether it's not just it's mental, it's physical, mentally, it's and I wish more people understood that. And maybe they do, and implicitly, but they don't know how to put it into words. Or they don't know how to I think everyone does understand that on an implicit level. I think they do. It's just not everyone is willing to give out all of themselves. And I just realized after reading of this, no one has ever given me all of themselves to me. And that thought is actually quite depressing to think about. And yeah. And I never felt I could trust anyone after that. So I'm entirely not sure whether it existed. Oh shit, hi Yuki. I hope you didn't hear my depressive rant. Oh my god. Welcome, welcome. I think we're at the end. We went on a date and well, we had a panic attack. We woke up and to find our girlfriend sleeping soundly next to us. Oh yeah. And yeah, it's just yeah, everything's moving so fast. I don't mind it at all, but it seems unlike Lily to be pushing things this much. Pushing, I don't know why you'd call that pushing though. It's just how relationships grow. People want to be one with you. They want to be in your mind, be in your head, be in your body, you know. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that tirade again. But yeah, he almost had a heart attack. Thankfully, there aren't any students milling around the hallways at this hour of the morning, lest I be interrogated why I'm carrying 2 plates of breakfast to my room while dressed in an obviously hastily donned uniform. Walk of shame! Let's go, walk of shame! Well, this isn't to say things like this never happen, of course. A single security guard patrolling between 2 sets of bedrooms situated right next to each other is very small force compared to the adolescent hormones. Yeah, I bet. Come to think of it, the fact that it's Monday morning probably helps. I'm not really sure why, but Mondays seem to bother me less than they do most others. Yeah, yeah. When you have one of those things called a girlfriend, it tends to be easier to go to work that day. Takes a little creative use of my hands and elbow, but I eventually managed to work out the door to my dormitory room open. Stepping aside, I see Lily getting up from the bed and tiredly rubbing her eyes. She looks a mess, just like most other times I've seen her so soon after she wakes. She really isn't a morning person. Oh my god, I know. That's why I always like wake up first and give my girl some coffee. It's like I'm gonna go, and then she'll like get up and hopefully make breakfast. I love it when they do that. It's so amazing. But if they don't, whatever. You know, I'm not gonna like chastise them over it. But sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. She groggily shakes her head. The morning light illuminating her makes her a very pleasant sight. I bet. It's okay. I need to get up anyway. What time is it? Put my plate down on my desk and turn the clock around to check the time. Still early. Don't worry. There's plenty of time left before school. She sits on the side of the bed and begins to sniff the air. As she does so, quickly move her plate away and put it on the desk beside mine. Yes, I got us some breakfast. Shower and clothes come first, though. Damn, alrighty, here we go. She stands still for a moment with her chin pointed slightly out, and I gladly acquiesce and press my lips to hers, savoring the soft feeling before breaking off. A small, sweet smile, apparently quite satisfied, she slowly makes her way to the showers. I stretch to try and wake myself up a little more, briefly looking at the steaming dishes on the desk. Rice, fish, miso soup, and some vegetables. A standard breakfast for a somewhat unusual day. I grab the bottles from my desk and start taking my daily regimen of pills. Here we go. Sometimes I wonder what these things are even good for, given all the troubles I've had since the initial accident. I can't even say that it doesn't hurt to take them, considering the side effects so far. Well, whatever. Doctor's orders are what I have to take them, and rationality suggests that I'd be well served to trust his judgment over mine. Yeah, you almost died when you didn't take them. And you made Lily cry. It didn't take long for the noise of the shower to cease, a quick one apparently being fine for Lily given the circumstances. Emerging from the bathroom, she looks significantly more awake, having had the chance to collect herself. Without a word, I gently take her hand in mine, and guide her to my desk. Considering I didn't have a table in my room as she does, it'll have to do. Thank you, Hisao. What'd you prepare for breakfast? Just some rice and some vegetables, something fast. Her face lights up at the revelation. That's quite a breakfast. Is this normal for you? Now she's just being nice. I have little doubt, considering her past, that this isn't exactly a high-class meal by her standards. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Just because we're students doesn't mean we can take it lightly. That's my belief anyway. From the others I've talked to have said I might be in the minority. I take a seat on the side of my bed and begin eating together with Lily, her chopsticks slightly tapping out the lines of the vegetables just as I'd noticed her doing on our date. This is quite nice, Hisao. I had no idea you could cook this well. That'd be so cool if someone said that to me, but I don't know. feel like some of my stuff is a bit experimental, but that's what happens when you're an autist and you cook. You see things and you're like, huh, what if I put this together? And it either turns out really good, or it turns out kind of weird. Or like the ketchup and turkey sandwich this one Serbian girl gave me in college when I was like helping her drive places. That was something. I literally ate the sandwich and I'm like, dang, is this like some special sauce from your country? She's like, no, it's ketchup. I immediately just... I ate it anyway. If I remember correctly. This time she's much more genuine, I can tell that much. That said, cooking isn't really anything special at all. After a bit of practice, it's pretty easy to make a simple dish. Most of the credit goes to modern technology. Still, after years of cooking for myself, I should hope so. I got bored of eating instant noodles and ordering pizza every time my parents were both working, so I taught myself how to make a few meals. I'm still trying to get the knack of it, though. You'll make a good wife someday, he soughed. Boy wife! Boy wife! Yes! Boy wife! Become the boy wife! She's like, she's gonna go to, like, fucking, Akira, right? And she's gonna be like, hey, my boy wife can cook. Can your boy wife cook? I take a grain of rice and place it onto my thumb before carefully taking aim and giving it a good flick. Lily jumps a little as if it hits her cheek, right on target. I can't help but chuckling at her expense as she lowers her brow and tries her best to assume a harsh and serious expression. Oh, that's right. What is it? Did you have any problems sleeping last night? You seem restless. So she was awake back then, or at least partly so. Whether it was my heart or a nightmare caused by the side effects of my medicine, the last thing I want her is for her to be worrying about me even more. And before my relationship with Lily, I felt my body was a drag on everything I did. My body is a burden alone, so as long as I'm with her, I'll continue to act as normally as possible. I don't know, man. It's gonna crop up, you know? No, not particularly. Is that so? That's good then. Luckily, she seems to take me at my word. Come to think of it, there's something else I wanted to ask. Oh? How should I put it? When you dream, do you see people and objects? My gosh. Yes, of course Oh. I feel more than a little sheepish for that slip of the tongue. However earnest it may be, Lily looks unperturbed, though. That's right, because she can't see, so she... But you don't taste, feel, nor smell things? I moved to answer, but I find myself stopped before thinking about it. The more I mull it over, the more I realize that her hypothesis is correct. That's true, I guess. I never looked at it that way. Are you saying that you do? For the most part, I only hear in my dreams, but yes, sometimes I touch and smell things as well. That's cool. That's fucking cool. It's like, the last time I had a dream where I could hear things, it was when I was high as fuck in my apartment, and I was tired, and I had my face in the pillow, and I heard this cacophony of music. It was a mixture of Nintendo 64 Smash Brothers sounds with... I was literally hearing breakcore in my head, and I had no idea, because I thought it was the newest thing in my head, and I go online, and I figure out there's a genre for that. There's a motherfucking genre for that. But yeah. I'm just asking since Akira thought it was very strange that I did when I brought it up with her. If you don't either, then maybe it's due to my blindness. That would make sense. You rely on your other senses more than me, so maybe that affects your dreams as well. Wonders of the human body, I guess. The rest of the time before school, we quietly eat the hearty breakfast in front of us, exchanging a few small pieces of small talk as we do. A quick peek out the door assures nobody's looking directly at the entrance of the boys' dormitory, so we walk out with the path clear. Can you imagine sneaking with your college girlfriend to your dormitory all the time? Nice. The weather's good today. As I stretch as Lily and I make our way outside, the bright morning sun beaming down on us. By now, a few students can be seen doing the same, making their way to the main school building, either from the dorms or through the main gate. It does feel nice and warm. Our hands linked together, her cane tapping on the ground, we begin in earnest our trip to the school building and join the chatting throngs of students around us. This would be the last day of exams, no? Yeah, how are you going in them? Fairly well, all things considered. You seem a bit stressed by them, though. It's that obvious, huh? I don't think it's just the exams, though. A lot of stuff's been happening in a short amount of time. I'm not doing that well in the humanities subjects. You've been doing well in science, though, aren't you? Well, it would be hard not to do well in science for me. Come to think of it, didn't you say before that you weren't very good at science and maths? Maths. She suddenly looks very sheepish, my remark no doubt hitting home. Lily's sense of pride can be a double-edged sword. Really be a double-edged sword. Well, aside from that, have you ever given thought to what you might do with that ability? It seems a pity to waste it. Define waste. A bit, mostly at Muto's prompting. In any case, I'll probably end up doing science as a career in some form. That's good to hear, Isao. As we enter the gardens, I suddenly receive an unsolicited pat on the back. A green-dressed culprit dances around to meet me, evidently not paying any heed to Lily at my side.
Hey man, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, just busy lately with exams and stuff.
Exams exams. A true Renaissance man needs no study to excel in such things.
Oh my god. This mother... Kenji does strike me as some kind of person who does well in school, even if he has a horrid attendance record and poor work ethic. So I've little reason to doubt his ability. To be honest, I'm a little envious of him. Between studying for exams and my time with Lily, I've practically had no time for myself. Maybe this is a bit how Yuko feels. Good morning, Sato. It's good to hear that you're doing well. It feels slightly odd to see Lily speaking so formally. She's come to address me more casually over the months, though I've seen her speak more formally to classmates from time to time as well. Some people never change, I guess. Not that I'd say her calm and polite manner is a bad thing. It was one of the reasons I liked being around her to begin with, after all. You liked her because she was hot. Okay, let's be real. Kenji seems to take a moment to work out who it is beside me, and probably hasn't noticed us holding hands together. I wonder if those glasses of his actually do anything.
Oh, ow. Hey, Lily. Good luck on your exams, too. I'll see you after school then, man.
Slight edge to his voice makes me think those words were meant to be an imperative rather than a casual farewell. I guess I'll have to smooth things over later. Sure, see ya. Kenji nods curtly. Oh wait, why is top chat on? That's dumb. I'm curious. Oh, they all left? That sucks. Oh. Kenji nods curtly. He moves to pass us, but he's too busy glaring in Lily's general direction to take notice of her cane. Before I can try to react and save the situation, Kenji trips and reflexively reaches out with the handful. Unfortunately, his said handhold turns out to be Lily's arm. Nice. Ah, wow. They both fall to the ground in a sprawling heap, leaving me feeling rather helpless. Ah, damn, are you two okay? Kenji quickly rises back up, seemingly unfazed by the accident.
No problem, man, no problem. This is nothing. My body can take much worse abuse.
Lily lies face down in the grass. She doesn't look hurt by the incident, more startled than anything. I move closer to offer my help. Are you alright, Lily? Hey, Sato? Kenji offers her a hand, tentatively touching hers to let her know what he's doing. He says some odious things sometimes, but I do think he may be a genuinely good person at heart. I imagine he feels pretty bad about this. To his surprise and mine, though, Lilly pounds on the ground with her fist without warning. Damn it! Kenji freezes, entirely caught by surprise at her outburst. I'm just as shocked. She never acted like this before, not even around Shizune. Seemingly only now remembering that there are people around her, Lily slowly climbs to her feet. Her face, as she does, makes me retreat a little. I only catch a glimpse of her expression before she turns away, but it's not something I'll forget soon. She showed plenty of annoyance during her classes with Shizune, but this flash of anger was something else. There's no way that this was just about this petty incident. She pauses for a moment before sighing and walking on ahead. I don't really know what to make of this. I'll, talk to you later, dude. See you.
Yeah, see ya.
And she scratches the back of his head, trying to find something to say, and then shrugs and walks away, giving us a wide berth. I quickly catch up to Lily. She turns her head a little to acknowledge my presence, but nothing else. I should probably scold her for lashing out like that, but also I don't want to get into a shouting match with her. She's still very obviously annoyed. In the end, I keep my mouth shut and wait for her to cool off. Good idea. After a quiet walk-in, we eventually reach the top of the third-floor stairs in the junction where we part every day. I turn to Lily before she leaves. While I do like the comfortable and warm silences we usually share, this was anything but. I don't want to leave things like this. You seem quieter than usual recently. Is anything wrong? She shakes her head almost automatically as if to dispel any notion that I need to worry about her. It's just the exams taking their toll. I'll be fine. I don't think that's the reason, but I very nearly say so, but I decide against it. There's no point in trying to draw it out of her. She doesn't want to tell me, especially when she's in a foul mood like this. If you're sure, I'll see you later then. As I turn down the hall to go to my classroom, Lily's soft voice rings out from behind me. Isao? Yeah? I'm sorry. With that, Lily makes off down the hallway to her own classroom, her hand skating along the metal railings. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? I stand still and watch her until she turns into the classroom and out of sight, before going to my own class with a fair measure of reluctance. As usual, I'm early. Muto is fiddling with folders and papers on his desk as he prepares for the day, while a handful of students mill about, chatting away. While my feelings about Lily haven't dissipated, far from it, her mention of my exam performance did remind me that I have my own life's journey to attend to. After thinking about it, I have realized that I do generally want to pursue science in some form as a career, rather than it being simply the path of least resistance. Until now, though, I didn't have much of an idea where in the field I wanted to go. Just science is a pretty broad category of jobs. You should do engineering. Be computer, do computer. Something Lily mentioned earlier focused my thoughts. Something I'd only idly pondered about before, but I'd not seriously considered following this specific path. I walk up to Muto's desk, his attention too focused on preparing for the day's lessons to notice my approach. Excuse me. It's the same every day. Good morning. He looks up with an expression of mild surprise that's quickly replaced by his typical awkward smile. Good morning, Nakai. Can I help you? Do you mind if I ask you something? He looks down at his messy pile of books on the desk before putting down the papers in his hands and standing up with some difficulty to properly address me. That's what I'm here for. After all, ask away. I was just wondering, what would you say is the motivation behind teaching? He thinks on this question for a few moments before responding, evidently far from having a prepared answer. You talk to 10 different teachers. I think you'll get 10 different answers to that question. Well, I can only speak for myself. I say that I teach because... He sinks into thought again, carefully assessing the way he wishes to present his idea. Think of it this way. When you were a child, you probably played with sticks and pebbles and moving water, such as in the gutter or puddles, right? Yeah, I think a lot of people did that when they were young. Well, not just when they're young for some. Some, though it does take on another form. The point is, though, that when one is doing that, they're curious about how the water will flow or will change. Everyone, even at a young age, possesses an intense wonderment about how the world around them moves, even in the smallest forms. I still feel that sense of wonderment about the universe, even just as reading about new discoveries or classic experiments that gives me a renewed sense of awe at how marvelous everything is, from the farthest stars to the smallest puddle. I just hope that I can give others even a small piece of that wonderment that I feel. If I can just do that, even if it's just for one person, I think I can be happy as a teacher. He scratches his head as he mentally reviews what he said. I feel like I understand him better now. Even if he's awkward around others, he does have a genuine want to be around them and offer them a piece of himself that he values. Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. That's really cool. I think that's really nice. I think a lot of people can do that. I think that's what makes people individually special, in a way. You know. The snare. Last time I talked with my teacher, he told me to go fuck myself. So, what Lilly told me yesterday rings in my ears. I think you'll get on well with others. Huh. She always did say I was unusually curious. Sorry if that was a little meandering. Does it answer your question? It does, thank you. I had another question, actually. Oh, what might that be? Do you have any college brochures or guides? It's about time I start getting some applications in. He nods and bends down to look inside his desk. As he does so, I notice that he is wearing a remarkably genuine smile. I don't think I've ever really seen him act this natural around others. Perhaps this isn't Muto the teacher, but rather Muto the person. Here, if you need any more, feel free to ask. He hands me about half a dozen brochures and booklets in various colors and sizes, which I take eagerly. I'm sorry, Yuki, if I didn't, accurately, say what you missed, but I don't know. I won't think too much on it. Yes, this will be the information which I'll use to forge my own future. I think now, after all this time and all these trials, I can finally start to see the big picture of my life ahead of me. My body may be like this, but my mind is still very much able. Thank you. Alright, drink time. Ooh. This is strange. That single thought has graced my mind a countless number of times in my life that here began. It feels like an easy way to discard a troubling question, as if simply labeling something with those 3 words will make it go away. Or at least not worth thinking about any further. My life before my heart attack feels more blurry every time I try to remember it. My mind struggles to keep up with all the events suddenly happening around me since. I heard somewhere that this is what it feels like to be left stranded in a country with only the most basic understanding of the local language. Indeed, when I think about it, it seems marvelously apt analogy for what's happened to me. But such situations are also supposed to make you very capable in that language very fast, as you're forced to learn it in order to survive. Another way, the situation becomes sink or swim. I wonder if I really managed to swim after all this time. The exams are stressing me out a lot, even though they're finally coming to an end, but I've remained in Muto's favor, and I have some sort of direction for my future now. But I keep using that stupid, meaningless phrase. This is strange. It really is amazing how fast one comes to accept being surrounded by people with sometimes incredibly jarring disabilities and conditions. So much so that I really wonder why I feel so much like a foreigner. It certainly isn't for the lack of socialization or friends. I've come to know most of my classmates on a first-time terms, and I know a few others around the school. Whether they're missing an arm or a leg, The students here are just like anyone else of their age. I can navigate the halls that I once lost myself with an ease I had not expected to ever have, thanks to the school's logical layout, and I can engage with my teachers in a comfortable discussion. I swirl around gently the tea in my cup, a reflected image of my face becoming distorted by the moving liquid. This is strange. I used to hate drinking tea. Maybe I'm thinking too much. The familiar sound of china rattling from the teacup, touching an accompanying saucer, rings out. Something the matter? Don't worry, it's nothing. I say that a lot, you sound. Take a long sip of the tea in front of me as the girls do. Just whiling away the time in Lily's room, sipping tea with her and Hanako. It feels familiar, almost nostalgic. So, how's your work in the newspaper club going, Hanako? I want to know too. It sounds like it'd be quite interesting. Hanako's face turns down at the attention placed on her, though her smile belies the fact that she genuinely likes being the center of interest for the two of us. It's good. I think I'm getting better at it. Naomi and a couple of her friends handle most of the jobs, getting the stories and stuff. I just do the computer things. I like putting the stories together and getting it printed. It's nice. I can sit and concentrate. I see Lily's low-tech nature isn't shared by Hanako. While sitting in the room compiling other people's newspaper articles into documents doesn't strike me as overly outgoing, it's heartening to see her widening her circle of friends. Baby steps, I guess. It's probably a bit much to be expecting her to become a socialite like Lily. How are you finding Naomi? I've heard she can be quite troublesome at times. And Lily's going to be in her mothering mode over Hanako. Letting go of her is something she's had to learn. Hanako scratches her cheek, thinking on her answer. Naomi's nice. She's a bit loud sometimes and a bit tiring, but she's really helpful. And her friends are nice too. That's wonderful to hear, Hanako. I'm glad you found a source of such enjoyment. Lily's smile is warm and genuine, but I can sense a touch of wistfulness to it as well. Hanako seems to miss that entirely, but I don't think for a second that I'm imagining it. I suppose it's because I've slowly come to pay more and more attention to everything that's going on around me. With things seeming happening faster and faster, it feels like if I miss something if I'm not observant as possible. With the exams, my newfound love of life, trying to fit some studying regarding my options for college and university, and my heart conditioning applying the brakes on everything at irritatingly random times, my brain's been in overdrive recently. It makes me appreciate the rare, quiet times as these. I guess this is why Lily came to appreciate her weekly walks to the convenience store and her tea parties with Hanako, despite her like for being surrounded by others. They gave her a moment of peace in a chaotic and busy life. Thank God the exams are over, eh? The comment draws an earnest chuckle from both of the girls. It seems like everyone's been a lot happier since the exams ended last week. So, what are you doing for the summer holidays, Hanako? Only quickly count the days in my head. That's Monday, school finishes on Saturday. 5 days to go, after all. I was thinking of traveling, just around a bit. There's a lot of places I want to see, and I think I have enough money to pay for the bus and train rides. Naomi and one of the girls in the newspaper club said they might come along too. Her look indicates she's been giving the matter quite a lot of thought. I'm quite surprised that she's contemplating something like this. It seems she's really become intent on striking out on her own. That's great. Is there anywhere in particular you're thinking of going? I was thinking that Kyoto sounds nice. I'll try to go to a few places. Lily nods in approval, happy with Hanako's plans. While I cast my eyes to Lily, I refrain from asking her the same question. She's been a bit evasive with her plans for the future for a long time now, but I never seem to get good time to broach the subject alone with her. She's trying to get distance. Sus. Every time it comes up in conversation, it feels like she's either unsure of herself or simply dodging the question. It's troubling. Be sure to call sometime when you're out and about. I gave you my number before, right? Hanako gives a quick nod, a happy smile on her face. It's strange to see how happy people seem when they have a goal to work towards. Yuko seems to brighten whenever her university aspirations are brought up. And now Hanako is just the same. So, why do I still feel this uncertainty? And why Lilly, too? Relationships can be irritatingly troublesome sometimes. Oh, well, what time is it? Oh, it takes me a second to remember that Lily's clock doesn't have any visual feedback. I really should know, given how many times I've been in her room. Nevertheless, I take my watch from my bag and quickly check it, the reason for her asking becoming clear. It's about 20 past 10, nearly curfew. Hanako rises to her feet, dusting herself off and neatening her gown and doing so. I'd better be going then. Good night, Lilly. Peace out. Sleep well, Hanako. See you tomorrow. With that, she walks to the door and quietly makes her exit. Silence. It seems to be happening more and more between Lilly and me recently. After a few seconds, I finally find something to talk about. Oh yeah, I talked to Mutual on Friday and finally checked out some guides on college and how to apply for it. That's good news. If you're going to be applying for colleges, I assume you have some idea in mind of what you want to do in the future? I think I've settled on becoming a science teacher. It's going to take a while before to get through university and everything to be qualified, but I think it'll be worth it. Lily's face brightens considerably at the news. I suppose with her wish to become a teacher, she's delighted I'd take the same kind of path. So you've decided on a career of teaching. I think that path suits you most excellently, Hisao. I smile and nod. This time, even if I know she can't see me doing so, I know she feels it. Imagine Muto would have taken to the news as well. That's one word for it. Hey Lilly. Yes? I know you want to be a teacher, but for a second I wonder if I should really ask her the question that's on my mind, but that's quickly brushed aside by the fact that this is rather late to have second thoughts. Surely you don't still think I'd be offended by something regarding my blindness? Her accusing tone is betrayed by her grinning face, amused at my awkwardness in raising the topic. Some things never change. Good point, I guess. I was just thinking whether or not being blind would be a hindrance with what your ambitions to become a teacher and all. Looks mildly surprised before giving the question some thought. I refuse to think that she's never actually pondered this issue before. I wonder, Isao, could you close your eyes for a moment? Okay. Raising an eyebrow, I do as she requests. I have no idea what she has in mind, and my questions only increase as I peek from one eye. Taking the black ribbon she usually wears in her hair from a cabinet beside her bed, she advances towards me while running it through her fingers to remove any stray hairs remaining on the piece of cloth. I suddenly click on to her intentions as I feel the black strip make contact with my face, wrapping around my head and over my eyes. What exactly is this for? It's a little test. Since you seem to be wondering, I'll let you see things as I do for a time. Huh, so this is what this is about. To be honest, this is actually kind of fun, childish and rather silly to anyone who would be watching, but it's a bit of silly fun. A bit of silly fun never hurt anyone. Stand up with a heave, my hands quickly moving out in front of me to warn me of any obstacles. Okay, now what? Now, touch me. You say so. Now then. Slowly make my way forwards, towards the sound of Lily's voice. My walking speed could barely be called a shuffle, the entire experience feeling alien, even though I don't want to risk inadvertently tripping over anything. It's her table, or her haphazard pile of books. Something soft yet solid brushes against my left leg. Further inspection reveals it to be Lily's bed. I move onwards, finding myself thankful that Lily's room is so neat and tidy. Even the pile of books she has are generally kept close to the wall, well out of harm's way. The hard pressing against my outstretched hands makes me furrow my brow in frustration. Hey Lilly, where are you? What are you doing over there? I'm over here. Lily's voice comes from the other side of the room, far from where it was before. Even to my untrained ear, she's going out of her way to avoid me reaching her. And is this just a game to her? Is this just a game to her? Of course it is. Compared to life where the concept of sight is an abstract one, a few minutes in a blindfold are nothing. I guess she's made her point. She's more than capable of navigating her room. And even further, I've seen how independent she is, even when compared to many of the others in Yamaku. Well, even if it's just a game, I might as well play it wholeheartedly. Yeah, do it. With a pace much quicker than before, I moved towards the source of her voice, deftly sidestepping the table in the center of her room, thanks to my remembering its position. Now I've got you. Got you now. She gives an impish giggle. One just long enough to work out that she's passing just beside me. I quickly turn around to face the new direction. The table there wasn't there before. Oh, ow, ow. I slowly sit up next to the table, raising my blindfold as I rub my aching head. I give an irritated kick at the table sitting just in front of where I fell, utterly pointless, but the thing deserved it. Isao? Lily's still standing just to my side, obviously unsure of what's befallen me. Sorry, I kind of fell over. Are you hurt? My head hurts, but I think I'm okay. I think the table moved in order to trip me over. She giggles as she walks over and takes a seat beside me, her hand resting on her own. Wow. I suppose that's the end of that, then. I think so. I don't know. I'd want to keep playing. I would want to chase her across the room. Imagine trying to chase your blind girlfriend across the room with a blindfold. That sounds fun as fuck. But I also think I get the point. I do wish it hadn't involved such a headache. Lily suddenly looks blank. Point? And I return to an extraordinarily flat look. This was just for fun? I thought it might ease you up a little bit about the subject. You always seem tiptoe around it after all. In regard to teaching, sight isn't what it's important. There are plenty of classes taught by entirely blind teachers, and more than enough resources for me to learn the subject. It's as simple as that, really. I slump my shoulders and give a snort of amusement. Yeah, you gotta stop looking at the limitations, bro. When are you going to learn? Yeah, I understand. I guess we both just have to work as hard to reach our goals then. What is it? A little hesitation. Lily pushes forward her chin and closes her eyes in an unmistakable gesture. I accept gladly, my lips touching. As they do, I suddenly feel her hand snaking up my chest from underneath my shirt. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my heart suddenly accelerate. Oh, we going at this again? So she's in that kind of mood again. Nice. Well, I'm hardly one to complain. She does genuinely like this. Even with all my medications, my libido is thankfully still intact. I lean in to kiss further, holding her hand tightly as I feel it tracing the contours of my chest. I look over. Eventually we break off from one another, the room silent for our breathing. Hey, Isao? Yeah? I don't suppose you could wear the blindfold again. Hot. Her tentative suggestion takes me by surprise. I suppose she wants to introduce me to sex through her eyes as well, or she just wants to find out what it's like during the act while being hampered by the blindfold. Hampered by the blindfold? Half the time my eyes are closed and in the moment. What the fuck? With a measure of unease, tempered by curiosity, I do as she says and lower the blindfold over my eyes. The world becomes dark once again. I reflexively tense as I feel Lily's hand gently brush the side of my face, entirely unable to anticipate her touch. I really need to get more used to contact like this. Even after weeks we've been going out, it just isn't as natural for me as it is for her. It's Japanese people. Silence? Hey, Lily. I obediently follow her instruction and quietly listen, trying to make out anything that's happening around me. Compared to before when I was chasing Lilly, the need to carefully navigate the room's obstacles is now gone. I can take my time and concentrate much harder on listening. It takes a while, but I can eventually pick out the soft sound of her breathing in an otherwise dead silent room. In, out. In, out. Measuring against my own breathing, I realize it's definitely deeper than normal, especially for her. Another sound makes its way to my ears, one I can't identify immediately. I don't think I've heard it before, but my heart skips a beat as I realize the source, my hand almost reflexively reaching out towards her. Her face feels softer than usual under my touch, head just barely turning in acknowledgement toward the fingers on her cheek. Isao. I gulp and take a moment to try and calm down. I need to call the concentration I can to muster while I'm like this in order to fully take in my surroundings. After a few deep breaths, I managed to collect myself. With a touch so light it wouldn't disturb a feather, I start to move and my hand down her body, and I can feel myself losing focus again, thanks to those thin silken pajamas of hers resting so perfectly over the curves of her body. If she's like this, then that means she has to be sitting against her bed, facing me. Now to continue. Alright, this must be her hip. I move slowly downwards. Lily's breath catches my hand, comes over hers, attentively following her fingers between her legs and losing them as they go underneath her underwear. Just the slightest moisture touches my fingertips, but it's enough to easily work out what she's doing. My mind suddenly fills with visions of what it must be like in front of me right now. I've never even imagined her doing this before, and being unable to see her doing the act only enhances the mood. I work my blindfold upwards, brushing out the eyes a couple hairs that were stuck to the ribbon before. For a period of time, I can only guess that mine goes completely blank. All I can do is stare at my newly freed eyes, taking everything in front of them. As I'd worked out, Lilly sits in front of me, with one hand on the ground to steady herself, the other fingers lightly brushing between her legs, hidden by her dark blue underwear. I think it's the most erotic sight I've ever seen. Once again, I reach out and brush her hair from her face, chin tilting outwards as she fills her pleasure-wrapped body with another breath of air. Lilly. Lilly looks oddly cute as she smiles at calling of her name. It always seems like it's at these moments when she's least attentive that she lets her most interesting emotions slip out. It's not long before she works her fingers over herself faster than before, excitement evidently rising, the scent of her sweat in the air echoing that fact. I sit in front of her. It's hardly my own arousals holding still. It's taking every fiber of my being to let her continue by herself instead of pushing myself on top of her. It's strange. I'd initially found her clouded blue eyes to be distracting, almost disturbing in their lack of focus, but that bothers me far less than I've used to now. My attention refocuses on her as she lets out a whimper, her breath becoming much faster than before and her hips subtly rocking. No sooner do I realize how close to the edge Lily's become. Breath catches, her eyes clasp shut, every muscle in her body seems to contract, and she unmistakably reaches her climax. For a scant few seconds as she tightens, huddled in ecstasy, before her body relaxes and a long, drained sigh comes from her lips. I just have no idea what to say. Silence reigns as I simply watch her, her hair hanging over her face as she sits exhausted. Isao. When she reaches out to brush my face, my urges completely take over my body. Not so much as a second thought, I push myself over her frame. It's an unusual feeling being like this. I feel oddly powerful, holding myself above her blank face, as though, for the first time since the accident so long ago, I feel physically strong. Lilly, I want you. To my surprise, she smiles weakly before reaching upwards to feel the side of my face. It's an almost cheeky expression, the kind which she usually gives only after getting something out of it. You wanted me to do this. She holds her smile and gives a silent nod. I guess it was an effective way to make me take initiative for once. Yep, what did I tell you? It'll always, even if she does it for you first, gonna end up with her face into the motherfucking pillow and you on top. It just works better that way, my friends. It just works better that way. Drink. And again, to my surprise, she gives the ribbon still around my head a sharp tug downwards. Once again, I'm lost in complete blackness. Damn. It's like, once you're in a relationship like that, it's like, some people describe it as breathing, you know, it's like you become your most authentic self in a lot of ways when you're with someone like that, you know, that can, like, drive that out of you, you know, it's, yeah, and there's just no words. There's no words for this. I told you to keep it on, didn't I? That teasing edge to Lily's voice, punctuated by her breathing. She never seems to lose her ability to take control of the situation. My boy. Even when you are on top, you're not in control. You are... No one is in control, is the thing. You know, when you're in the moment, no one's in control. And that's the scary and beautiful thing about it. You know? And it's... You know? Control is an illusion. Men were never in control. Me, I never felt in control when I was, you know, in a sexual relationship. It felt more like she was in control of me, you know. Although she was desperate to get me to, like, get angry and hate fuck her, though. Which I would never do. I just shut down. And that's probably what... that's probably why we're not still doing that. Never seems to lose her ability to take control of the situation. But this one time. Hisao, what are you? I slide my hands underneath her, soft silken skin pressing into my hands as I gently raise her body with a measure of difficulty. Okay. How inexperienced. While I wouldn't describe her as heavy, her weight makes her more than a handful to try and lift. It only takes a couple of carefully placed steps to feel the edge of her bed against my legs, and a lowering of Lily onto the sheets as gentle as when I raised her. Bed's more comfortable than the floor, eh? Always the gentleman on you. I quickly ran my hands down Lily's long, shapely legs, their allure far from diminished without the luxury of sight, and to pull off her pajama shorts and underwear from her ankle. I have no idea where those just went. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They are somewhere around. Minimum of fuss, I shuffled down my own pajama trousers and underwear, positioning myself between her legs, or at least where I think is between her legs. With one hand on her bed to steady myself, my right moves tentatively downwards. Whoops, my first contact with her is my palm clumsily meeting in front of her nose. Oh my god, this reminds me of the time where we were in a movie theater and this girl, she's trying to, like, grab my dick, right? And she's, like, trying to stroke my phone that's in my right pocket. Funniest shit ever. I couldn't stop laughing because I know what she was trying to do. Awkward sex is the best. She giggles a little before turning her head sideways. Taking my cue, I gently cradle her cheek and use my thumb to feel the contours of her face as she so often does with me. This would be a lot easier if she wasn't moving her face into my hand, but the feeling of her nuzzling into it is nice. I swallow to try and steady myself, take my other hand from the bed and use it to guide myself into her. As soon as I feel her warmth around me, quickly realize just how turned on I am. With my sight gone, I'm free to concentrate on the other senses, including the tactile feeling. The entire experience feels more vivid, more intense than it's ever been before. I slowly start to move my hips back and forth, my heart beating wildly in excitement. I feel Lily's eyes clenching shut, the movement of her cheek under my thumb reminding me of the gentle hold I have on the side of her face. It's hard to stop myself from being completely overwhelmed. It's hard to think that this is what sex is usually like for her. Experienced, though, every sense but the one I hold dearest, her sight. I know, right? From her cheek to her neck, I begin to slide my hand downwards to take in the feeling of her body. The contours of her collarbone, the light dew resting on her skin. My sense of smell is stimulated by the scent of her sweat and smine hanging in the air. Even in the ambient smell, noticeably different from that of my own room, adds to the feeling. When I move my hand to her supple breast, her soft mewling fills my ears along with the sound of our act. Fuck. The skin under my hand moves back and forth with each thrust, my grip on it tightening as my lust for the near-naked body of Lily before me grows. And I can even feel her small nipple against my palm. My hand slides further and my fingers pluck through the thin silk of her pajama top. Her whimpering sounds turn into moans as she quickly feels the same pleasure as I. I can feel my heart beating loudly in my chest and her own beating underneath my hand. I can feel her hands clasp my wrists, their grips surprisingly light as her chest rises in overwhelming pleasure. More. I want more. I can feel my chest tighten as I rock back and forth frantically, both of us entirely taken with ourselves. Nothing that unusual. I just need to take deeper breaths to steady myself. Feeling is just normal. I don't. Fuck you, game. This isn't. I can't. The pain is too much. I stumbled backwards from Lily in unseemly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table and falling to the ground with an unceremonious crash. Breathing wildly, I frantically scrape at the ribbon over my eyes as I lay on my back. I have to get this off. I have to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank. A rush of newfound light assaults my eyes. My breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. Seconds pass, and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heart beats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor at the ceiling. The adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself up as I hear Lily getting off the bed and coming towards me. Isao? Are you okay? Isao? Finally. I'm fine. She's a sigh of relief, her worried expression collapsing. Her face afterwards is the very last I wanted to see from her. It's the face I detested ever since I saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago. Pity. Lily pities me. I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I could see the sound of Lily moving away and tending to herself. The ruffling of her clothing being pulled back on the moment of searching was just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes up buttoning her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate, that it makes my heart sink. Approaching her carefully, she feels out the edge of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest. I'm sorry, Isao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. Never seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system, letting my mind relax. So that's why you never took the lead. Yeah. Yes, it's a good thing you like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little, in fact, which helps me feel less unease about my unreliable self. Lily's head comes to rest on my shoulder as I struggle to keep my eyes open, more difficulty after each blink. I feel completely drained. Man, if this happened to me, I would just be like destroyed, and I would not know how to live with myself. I would feel like I would be so paranoid that she would abandon me. I would be so scared. And I would do my best to like not show her that. Fuck this music. It's okay, Hisao. It's all okay. No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. Soft, almost melancholic tune. It sounds familiar, but the more I try to remember its origin, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling and scent of her head gently resting on my shoulder and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind, much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. This singular, quiet moment, after all this fracas, it makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. My eyelids slowly becoming heavier, heavier. Even with the chaos before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lily and I together, sharing a single solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? This really sucks, man. Loud cloud of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's becoming a bit of a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lily also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists toward the direction of the noise. I thought her used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here. Oh, hello, Hisao. Back again. It takes me a moment to respond, my mind still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that's hardly left my ears in several days that it's been since I fell asleep to it. Hmm? Oh, yeah, I'm just returning some books I borrowed. She casts her eyes downward, presumably to the bin of books dropped into. You're a very heavy reader, aren't you? It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time, at least. I wish I had free time to pass. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that could take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for a job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive and actually makes perfect sense to me. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage it. You're lucky being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university? If he's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require to going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more of a matter of how I'll pay to do so. University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses, too, makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much, though, that means you're doing well in school, right? Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one, though. I suppose so. I didn't find any exams very hard, aside from maybe 1 or 2. Mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears genuinely brighten at the question. Anthropology, to be specific. I'm specializing in the history of classical era Athenian civilization and democracy. Oh my god, she's gonna be poor forever. That's okay. She'll probably meet someone nice. He really seems to know her stuff. Her such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. That's good to hear. If you both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. Apologizing profusely, I quickly shuffling into the hallway. As I fumbled the cover with my mobile phone, I glanced at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder if it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello? Isao Nakai speaking. Geez, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who? It only takes me a second to recognize the distinctively deep, brusque voice. Hey, Misha. I didn't expect you to call me. Huh? You think I sound like her? Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number, though, so I thought I'd mess with you. Oh, that? I got Lilly to give it to me. Not hard. She positively brims at pride with the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in their pace. I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number, though, given how close they are. So, what's up? You free right now? I guess. Why? Could you meet me in the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff. Ooh. Is that an invitation to a date? What? Of course not. She sounds suddenly crestfallen, her previous teasing nature having instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. Where do you want to meet? When do you want to meet? Kind of now-ish. Wait, right now? But it's dead silence coming from the phone announces the fact that she is unceremoniously hung up. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the call-ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head. The fuck? What the hell, Kira? Akira? Throwing up a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lily's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Kira didn't expect me to be immediately prompt. Shit. Takes a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on the bench with a can of beer in her hand. The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or greeting. What's with that look? You needn't have come, you know. I knew you would. You're that kind of person, after all. Lower my brow at a remark as she disposes of the can. Empty by the time I arrived, and the metallic clatter rings out. Wow. Akira takes the seat on an old wooden bench, and I follow her lead. Takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking, taking a large gulp. She seems to really like that stuff. Suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about. I heard from Lilly that you asked about her family. They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'm probably very worried about right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, her tone sounds almost wistful. Idle curiosity, mostly. I hate to admit it, but I've never guessed the two were half Scottish. I'd never have guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives a wry chuckle of amusement. I've heard that before, trust me. A small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead distantly. Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk in the meandering paths, the odd aging car, it's pleasantly silent. She didn't tell you everything, though, did she? It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland, she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again. It's always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents, all for the good they did to us. The way she says it sounds almost derisive. She has a small sigh, as if to quickly brush the feelings away. Why do you think they left, Hisao? Why do I think they left? From what Lilly told me, it's because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, and given the way your parents seem to live. So Lily went to a private school, and that's why she carries herself with the airs and graces of the upper class. Yeah, since the businesses in Inverness boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just the conclusions I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good-natured. Don't think they left for their career? I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt this place was kind of creepy. It was an isolated hideaway for those proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. Damn. They probably just rue the fact that Lily wasn't old enough to be shoved there by the time they left. A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents and Yamaku. Lily's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high-class family attempting to keep up appearances, much less so when a lucrative offer is on the table. It seems kind of trite. I don't know. Seems too... I don't know. I don't know about that. Eventually, Akira gives a derisive snort, her feelings coming to a head. Hoping to secure a final financial future with this new job posting. Even at the time, I hardly believed it. Not wanting to be simply an avenue for her venting, I gently tried to steer the discussion. So you stayed in Japan with Lily then? Either I stayed with her, or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather. Wow, Shizune's family, if you're cousins, then brothers hate each other. I've been more happy to tell them to go screw themselves than live with them anyway, but Lily wouldn't have wanted that. I also had a job offered by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape and try to continue our lives as if they never left. So you just live by yourselves. Basically. Lily had school and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked, though, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her and screwed it up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for the blind child. Ridiculous. So Lily and Akira lived alone with their parents after their parents moved, with Lily largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived alone much of the time my parents both lived, but that's something else entirely. I'm sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Hisao. I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this? You always were curious. I gotta... Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way. Fuck, I know I did. Takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed than distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. That's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens and you just have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. She's breaking up with us. And she's not telling us personally. Takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a nice long drag right about now and look kind of cool. It's true. Smoking does make you look pretty cool. But it's bad for you, and it kills you. I want to respond to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This is the kind of situation, this one I've never been in, and I simply don't have experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly, and I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act of feeling like a personal victory for me. You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice. She picks herself up from the seat with a grunt, one with that seems ill-fitting given her age, throws away the now empty can into the bin after one last swig. It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said that I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lilly a summons to rejoin them in Inverness. No way. Her evasiveness when asked about her future, that awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, an uncharacteristic outburst of anger, all of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Haneko's birthday party, the same family that have left her inaccurate to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lilly on what was bugging her. I've never even considered if something had happened during her trip at her family's home at Inverness. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. Her family has summoned her to join them in Scotland, on the way to the other side of the earth. She accepted? Lilly hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, he said. Context. Sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lilly's a strong person, he said. She's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister, but I think that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist. I've got to go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lilly about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lily's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. I mean, I would go with her to Scotland. Let's just be real. I would go with her to Scotland. I wouldn't give a shit. Guess I'm learning English. Guess I'm learning how to speak English, or getting whatever job I can, By that time I look up, Akira is already walking off with her hand held up. First time in a long while, finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that. At least now I have the right question to ask. Will you leave? Stay. It's kind of funny because in the beginning she was like, "You won't leave me, right? You won't leave me, right?" Hurry, Lilly. I'm moving as fast as I can. I barely even make out Lily's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain, even though I dislike her pulling her around. The situation calls for it. I turn forward, a free hand over it in the futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This is really rotten weather for summer, and the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. Pity, I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I've ever done so, only for Sit to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lilly, her shoulders by now completely drenched, her right hand holding tightly to mine and her left gripping her retracted cane. The horrid downpour just came on just as we were between our destination and Yamato. We decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lily's using all her concentration just to avoid tripping over. Isao, do you know where you are going? She's even reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. What? Shanghai! How far is it? It shouldn't be that far now. It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. Looks like we're safe, just up ahead. I quickly pull up to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and waiting for Lilly to catch her breath before going in. Man, this is a lot of scuffed. Ladies first. The tiny bell rings out as I hold the door open with a smile and polite nod, being my reward before entering myself. As I step behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bells ringing, a most expected person comes to greet us. Welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's nice to change. It's a nice change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. Takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us. What happened to you? You both look... Her eyes drifted towards the glass door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh, wait. Sorry. Is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Right, coming right up. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she's at least dedicated to her jobs. I led Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settled down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down to my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, the cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay as dry as possible, hands in often tightly gripped rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together since I entered Yamaku and the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second-guess her emotions and potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. Just look at behavioral patterns, I guess. I don't know, maybe... He has. It makes me doubt whether I've ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I very much want to avoid doing so. You seem quiet today, Isao. Really? You seemed so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I assumed you had something specific you wanted to do. No, not really. I just wanted to spend some time with you. Is that so? Fine. There was one thing. A little grin finds its way onto Lily's face, her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes me want to say what I want to say all the more awkward. It's just... Akira and I were talking. Oh? What's with that tone? You two do seem to get along well, don't you? Well, I think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like her. Cool. For a moment I try to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realize it. You're not jealous, are you? I'm not jealous. After teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense for this time around. We settle down, though. It's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it's mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there's something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When do you want to see your family in Inverness? When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said. Kira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she? Seconds tick while I try to read Lily's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat confused. Here. Yuko tentatively slides our drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. She walks back to the counter after a quick, polite nod. I realize the air between me and Lily is as thick, and our expressions are both somewhat pensive. Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times. I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you, and it's not like I can understand her concern over this. Lily's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal well with being cornered in personal topics. I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured it out eventually, but you were intentionally hiding this from me? How long were you planning to do so? As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you. What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I wanted to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut. My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there. So, going. How long have you known? I've already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago. Some time. And frustration nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. For her not to only be leaving, but have been actively hiding her own plans from me after seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as though the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, as much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily, I'm sorry. I wanted to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you. Please. I know, Lily. This is really sudden. I guess that means once you go, we'll be breaking up. Well, in the few times I've seen since I met her, she's genuinely lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt, because the fact had dawned on her since she became sure of her decision. Rather, she appears genuinely unsure of how to deal with the situation now that it's in front of her. We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days. After all, even as she says it, the tone of her voice gives away that she really doesn't truly believe what she's saying. It's over. Well, he's too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence, and even I am to some extent. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. The attempts to try and connect what's happening with the future or past seem to be yet more difficult the more I concentrate. Quiet moments, we just walked side by side. Precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira. Casual chatter we had during lunchtimes. Hence we made love, the confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless. All just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We were just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long, long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. His face remains low, a dejected expression clouding it. I'm sorry, he sobbed. A simple apology, no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. A long sigh. I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going? I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be a little less than a week. Beginning of the summer holidays? It's just a little afterward, yes. Tone is unusually slow and steady. Her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written on her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected by the now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stare down into the still surface, and just sort through my emotions to get at the course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. I think the real reason is actually much darker than what this game actually lets on, to be honest. I'm not going to say it now, though. But as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cool tea without a complaint, her face drawn and her shoulders slumped. Looks to be deep in thought, too, a strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of the Shanghai having left. Chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways, while trudging down the whole corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Sure enough, it's the opening of the door opposite of mine heralds the arrival of the bespectacled Genji.
Hey man, what's... Whoa, dude, you look awful, I think. You okay?
He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to get into it. It's late.
Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, you know, I'm here.
I look at him for a moment before surrounding my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Genji.
Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right?
Yeah, you're right. See ya. I open the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud of the door against the doorframe sounds out like a final call for the life I've led since coming to Yamaku. I stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just what should I do? Yeah, there's no chance he could get a passport and go to Scotland and yeah. Wow. As class ends, I simply rest my head on my hand and stare out the window to pass the time. It's been a few days since Lily told me her plans. I haven't been to our ordinary lunchtime haunt since then. Not that there would have been much point. Has been busy with the newspaper club she's newly joined, and hasn't even begun talking in class with Naomi every now and then. Even Lily, aside from the fact that meeting between us would have been awkward in any case, has run off her feet with the class representative duties as summer holidays approach. And now they're just about here. At the end of today's bell, the summer holidays will have begun. I suppose that all I'll end up doing will be visiting my parents for the duration, and lazing about my old home, now that my previous plans are entirely askew. Meanwhile, Akira and Lily will be en route to Scotland, to live out the rest of their lives there. No matter how hard I try to rationalize the idea, since the summer holidays begin, my life will return to the way it was. It simply refuses to happen. Everyone's moving on with their lives. Lily's rejoining her family, Akira's moving up in her father's business, Hanako's gaining new friends and hobbies, and even Yuko's moving ahead with her university aspirations. And even I'm moving forward in the end. The grades I've gotten so far in Yamaku, much less after such a rocky beginning, the path to get into teaching science as a career seems straightforward. I suppose I should at least be happy about that much, but it doesn't seem to help. Hichan! I quickly stop ruminating and turn to face the bubbly voice beside me, putting on the most upbeat expression I can muster. As expected, Shizune stands flanking her. I have a sneaking suspicion they want something from me. Hey, Misha, Shizune, what's up? Well, Chi-chan and I were thinking, since we're two poor little girls that need help with all the work we've been given before the holidays begin, sure, I can help. But Hi-chan, we really need... What? I think I broke Misha. Even Shizune raises an eyebrow at her accomplice shuddering stop in her tracks. So you'll help us, Hi-chan? I just said I would, didn't I? I hardly have anything better to do. Maybe helping them with their work will take my mind off the situation. Misha seems genuinely ecstatic with my response, but Shizune's expression is clouded and difficult to read. I find myself quickly averting my eyes from her own, as it almost looks like a face of pity. No doubt, it must be my imagination. This is hardly the first time I've been in the student council room. Indeed, I found myself down here often, either to help Lilly with class rep work or to sort out one thing or another with the student council itself. Popular. Now, though, it's quite a different place. The papers and folders are strewn across every table in the room, and only a solitary black laptop atop a single desk sticking out from the mess. It looks positively ancient, and I guess it's been there valiantly serving its task in archiving information for years and years. So, what needs doing? Looks like a lot to do. Shizune's expression becomes determined as she signs. It's a worrying look. Everything, Hichan. My worry was well placed. Everything, you say? What's left on the desk is what needs to be done. It all needs to be digitally recorded, which is what the laptop is for. So, we're doing data entry work. Sad. And I'm guessing I'm the one who'll be doing this. Chi-chan says she just saw you with the computers in the library a few days ago, and that you seem really good with them. Good with computers? I can touch type, I guess, but that seems like an overestimation of my skills. I'm just typing up homework. Wait, Shizune was watching me do that? One must know their allies before they can know their enemies, of course. Wow, that's pretty wise. For once, it's not very hard to work out who said that. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem to be worth fighting over. Sitting at a computer doing some typing seems hardly onerous, as far as tasks to help Shizune and Misha go. Besides, it'll help take your mind off things. Take my mind off things? Take my mind off what things? Misha's face goes blank as she translates to Shizune, though the latter's response is only to glance away towards the window after briefly sighing. Misha's face quickly returns to a smile. She translates back. She was confused, I guess, but Shizune is harder to pin down. I was just thinking that you may like to get your mind off the exams, of course. Either way, we may as well get into it sooner rather than later. I'll go along with you. That's the spirit, Hichan. Wow. And that's the 5th spreadsheet I've compiled and saved. Time for next month's. After a little bit of fussing around, we all managed to get a bit more organized. Shizune's been gathering up the loose sheets and thankfully sorting them into a neat pile next to me. Meanwhile, Misha's been handling the manual writing work, her girly pink pen leaving its unmistakable mark, paper after paper. Once I get myself into a rhythm, this really wasn't so bad. Shizune and Misha also seem to be in the swing of things, wordlessly communicating as they go about their business with fervor. I periodically glance at the sheet beside the laptop, apparently the list of student names and matching addresses, as I dutifully enter the data written to it. I don't pay a lot of attention to what I'm typing until I reach midway down the page. Akamichi, class 3-3. Huh. Your family's home is in Saitama. My idle curiosity is ended abruptly as 3 light taps can be heard rapping on the door. Misha quickly skips over to check who it is, tapping Shizune's shoulder on the way past to let her companion know what's happening. Ah, you're here. Who is it? A slight pause to enter Shizune's data into the file along with the others. I look to check who's at the door. Lilly? After giving a cursory nod to Misha in the greeting, she perks her head up in a trademark manner. Is that Hisao? She's pretty darn good at working out my voice from the smallest of phrases nowadays. Yeah, it's me. Hey. The atmosphere feels slightly awkward as she bows. Neither knows how to intimate how we should be around each other, given she's leaving in just a matter of hours. This is the fact that, thankfully, neither the oblivious Misha nor the hard-working Shizune pick up on. So, you've got work to do as well? Unfortunately, I arrived as soon as I could, but my class held me up with a surprise farewell party, so I had to get changed. I glanced down at the laptop's clock. It's pretty much the end of lunchtime, so I'm guessing we managed to wrangle the last period off as well. I take it Shizune is here as well? Of course. Oh, yeah. And I've been here during all of lunchtime as well. That last comment was not really needed. Shizune's baiting Lilly into another argument. I can feel it. I'm sorry, I can't be as hardworking as you, Shizune. I'll endeavor to hire more lackeys to do my work in the future, I assure you. And Lilly just took the bait, escalating things further. Aren't you the one always outsourcing your work to classmates? The difference is that they choose to help, unlike your tyrannical grip on your own class. Tyranny works. Even if we did things differently, we still get the same results, right? This is a school, not a police state. You will have to remind me when you were appointed to class monarch, I'm afraid. You have to seize power. It's not as good if it's just handed to you, but I guess you wouldn't really understand that, right? You also had to remind me when monarchs were elected to their positions. Lilly positively bristles at this. Shizune's two-hit combo forces her into defense. Yet, for all your vaunted power, you cannot get one person to help you without forcing them. But Hisao volunteered. He's such a hard worker. He's doing this instead of meaningless socialization, right? Is that so? Hisao? This is bad. I've really ended up in a rock and a hard place. As much as it may pain me to do this, the truth is at least I have a chance of stopping this argument here and now. It's okay, Lilly. They didn't harass me to come or anything. Lilly gives me a disapproving grimace, silently radiating her strong feelings of displeasure in my general direction. She can be quite scary when she wants to be, but thankfully that isn't often. He-chan, you make it sound like it's a regular occurrence. It isn't? In the end, it doesn't matter, so long as everything's getting done at a good pace. Let's just get this work over so we can go home. Shizune snorts derisively and gets back to marking out the sheet in front of her. Lilly sighs and finds her way along the room with her hand, following the filing cabinets lined along the wall. This is depressing. This would mark the only time I've managed to successfully diffuse one of these situations, but the grudging ceasefire built around mutual fear and respects makes this feel more like the Cold War than any real peace. Can't take all the credit, though. Lilly's leaving has surely affected Shizune to some extent, just to make her give up so easily. Moments before getting back to work, I noticed Lilly reaching up to grab something from the filing cabinet. I almost offered to help, but her height gives her this ample ability to take it down safely. When she sets the strangely tight-shaped device on the desk beside me, I realize what it is, sort of. She takes the old green covering off and sits down. At first glance, it seems to be an old metallic blue typewriter, but it doesn't take me long to realize it's far from ordinary. It has far fewer keys than expected, and those it has to show are no lettering printed on them. There's no lettering printed on them, the only shadows cast by the tiny braille dots on them give them a hint of the thing's purpose. Blind typewriter? Oh, this? Well, you're not far off. It's normally called a Perkins Brailler, but it's basically a typewriter for the blind, yes. It presses braille onto the page rather than text, which is why it has fewer keys. Huh, that's really neat. She gives a light-hearted grin about my curiosity over it. I have to admit that it appeals to my sense of novelty. Without further ado, we each get back to our allotted tasks. The loud clunking of mechanics in Lilly's brailler and the tapping of the old laptop's old and weary keyboard quickly fill the room. I don't know. I mean, if it were me in this situation, I probably would try to squeeze out every last good moment I could with Lilly if I was actually in love with this person. Trying to get over her. Why would I want to do that? Why would anyone want to do that? You know? I would just pretend. We would just pretend and just love each other the best we could until it's over. You know? In the end, that's what you do anyway, right? When one person dies or is dying, you just love them the best you can while they're there, you know? It just seems like, I mean, yeah, they said they're pretending to be adults, but why quit? You know? There's something maybe I'm just being naive. Ah. A loud clunking of mechanics and Lily's braille and the tapping of the laptop's old and weird keyboard quickly filled the... It's a nice atmosphere, really. Everyone knows what they have to do, and Lily and I get to sit beside each other and exchange an odd word while as we work away. Nostalgia. That's what it feels like. It's pleasant, but just slightly stained with the knowledge that our time together is nearing its end. Excuse me, Misha? To properly address her, Misha bounces over from the filing cabinet she's peering into, despite the lack of Lily's lack of sight. For a moment, I think it's strange, but then I realize it's exactly what I do. What's up? Did you ask Shizune where the attendance records for class 3-2 are? I think they've been moved. Okie dokie. And with that, she flitters off to Shizune, who's working at the table behind us. Lily's familiarity with the council room, the efficiency with which she works, remind me that she, Misha, and Shizune used to all work together in the student council. Maybe this is a fitting end for her stay in Yabuku, working away just like she used to, surrounded by those she loves, at least liked. And at least liked. I look up, getting taken off guard by Shizune sorting through a drawer rather than Misha. Sure enough, she plucks out the manila folder. It's entirely blank save for the just barely visible bumps on its front, and holds it in front of Lily. Lily's hand fits over to check what it is, her fingers feeling out the dots of braille and confirming it's what she asked for. Thank you, Misha. No reply. No reply, that is to say, for an odd grin. No smile on Shizune's face. A couple of seconds pass before Lily checks that is Misha behind her. Isn't Misha behind her, but Shizune. Her momentary look of surprise is replaced by a slightly bashful smile. For a few moments, the room is all but still and silent. Eventually, though, Shizune strides back to her workstation, and Lily begins typing once again. It only lasted a handful of seconds in all, but it feels like years of communication were made up for in that one silent exchange. There, finished. I lean my head back and rub my eyes to try and work away their weariness. Staring at the small and rather poor screen has taken its toll. Excellent timing. The only thing left to do is file these away, and I'll have my workload finished as well. Good. I can pick up the brailer and put it away while you do that. Thank you, Hisao. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna crack my head. Okay. Misha, are you and Shizune far from being done? I look around for the two as I place the cover over the brailer, only to see them waiting at the door. I guess they must be waiting for us. With the minimum of wasted time, we file and pack up everything that remains and join them. Thanks for waiting, you two. We couldn't just take off without you, Hee-chan. You've been a great help. Shizune nods approvingly, pleased with my efforts. I guess that's the last class representative work done and over with then. That's right. I'll miss you, Lily. I think it was fun working with you. Thank you, Misha. It's been good working with you, and Shizune. Shizune thinks for a moment before formulating her response. It's not that she often communicates without thinking, quite the opposite, but this time it's even more considered than usual. Misha looks a little surprised before passing on the message. Shizune says, you better do your work over there better than you did it here. Far from taking offense, Lily giggles into her hand. If that's the case, then please tell Shizune to give those still here a little more understanding in the future. Competitive until the last. Maybe Shizune and Lily aren't so different after all. Shi-chan says she'll be checking to make sure you live up to your end of the promise. Then that's how it'll be. I better be off. Then goodbye, Shizune. Goodbye, Misha. Hisao? She takes hold of my arm in hers, there being no need for a cane, if I'm there to guide her. With a nod of farewell, we set off the door to make our way to the school grounds. As we turn to wave goodbye to them, I notice Shizune's gaze lingering on Lily. She may annoy each other, but family bonds aren't easily broken. Got all your papers sorted then? Yes, they've all been filled out and handed in. On top of things as always, aren't you? She gives an earnest smile at the compliment. but it feels as if her happiness is just a veneer over the fact that she's fully aware how much she's leaving behind. It reminds me of how she was like when I first met her, always smiling, always a little bit aloof, and a little distance away from everyone. Even now, she still maintains that air around many others, especially those she's not close to. I had hoped that our time together would have changed that fact. Our pace slows, the two of us coming to a halt, in all but the empty school gardens. Isao is something that... Well, these words are cut short as I turn and wrap my arms around her, pulling her tight. I may not usually be given to such impulsive actions, but I just want to be close to her, even if it's the last time I'll be able to. While the other students have retreated to their dormitories and homes, only the ruffling of leaves and the breeze making any sound whatsoever. As I draw back, I can see she has dropped her carefully maintained smile. Her hand hesitates, but neither wanting to leave nor stay on my features. She's putting up a brave show, but her slight trembling gives her away. Lily may be able to control herself well, but even she can't hold her composure together now. This is the woman I've come to love, but also the one who, in all too short a time, will leave the country forever. I'm sorry, Isao. It's okay. You've got your own life to lead, after all. We walk up to the hallway in the girls' dormitory hand in hand, our emotions by now largely quelled. Nevertheless, our hands grip each other's much more tightly than before. This reminds me of the time when I was at this my best friend's house, and it was time that I had to go back, right? I mean, she wasn't leaving the country, but what happened was it was nighttime. The festival was basically over, and we were in her house, right? We were in her room, and she found out that maybe her long distance boyfriend was maybe cheating on her, probably cheating on her, and I told her I loved her, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't feel that way about you." And then it's like one more hug, This is, yeah, it just kind of reminds me of that moment, and I just never. That was the most impactful hug I've ever had in my entire life, and made me hate myself a lot less, and fuck you, Katawa Shoujo. Fuck you. Nevertheless, our hands grip each other much more tightly than before. Faint, muffled voices can be heard from Lily's room, the origins which aren't difficult to guess. The moment she opens the door, Hanako bursts through and wraps her arms around Lily, taking her very obviously by surprise. Lily, Lily. Hanako? I'm going to miss you, Lily. As expected, she's on the verge of tears. Lily gently rubs Hanako's hair with her hand in response, then pulls back and gives a warm, reassuring smile. Looking beyond, Akira can be seen getting up from the side of Lily's bed and scratching her head. Her eyes turn from Lily and Hanako to me, a stilted, weak smile hanging on her face. I try to return a more genuinely happy look, but the result is probably just the same. So, everything set? Managed to hold back from killing Shizune? Kama draws an amused giggle from her sister. Yes, I have everything in order, and yes, I've managed not to. You packed everything you needed? Got the bags right here. There's still some stuff left at Hakamichi's home. I can pick up that stuff while we wait there for tomorrow evening's flight, though. Akira gives 2 large black bags, and on the floor is a hearty pat. Gives 2 large black traveling bags on the floor with a hearty pat. She's probably coming to help pack and make sure everything is in order on Lily's end. Or, going together with her. Lily, will you be okay over there? I'll be alright, I assure you. I'll have Akira looking after me as well, and you know that she's reliable. But don't worry, Hanako. I have your phone number after all. We could stay in touch. With Akira's help, I could send you things over the internet as well. Hey, don't use me just because you won't learn how to use a computer. Hanako and Lily both giggled briefly, the mood lightening ever so little. That goes for you too, though, Hisao. I promise I'll contact you once I'm in Scotland. I know. I'll be looking forward to it. Your offer may be kind, but we both know this is tantamount to breaking up. Whether us has any illusions as to how well we'd manage a long-distance relationship. Fuck it, man. I'd try anyway. I mean, I do know this German girl that actually has a long-distance relationship with this Mexican dude, and I tried so hard to, like, flirt up with her. I tried so hard, to just get her to like me, but she doesn't. She likes this guy in Mexico, in Tijuana. She's in love with the guy. She met him. It's over for me, man. It's too late. Probably already did stuff, but whatever. She's forgotten about me. We're no longer friends, and, it's just how it goes, I guess. And I remember telling, like, Wetfish about her, and they were like, she's crazy, bro. Don't do it. Maybe it was for the best, but who knows? You never know what happens in the future. People you thought you would never meet ever again turn up, So, with nary a word of prompting, the four of us begin the long, solemn walk to the school gate. Numerous lamps scattered around Yamako grounds fail to do much more than provide pinpoints of light in an otherwise dense dark. Our parked on the road outside the school grounds comes to view, its shining black exterior, reflecting dimly lit lamps of the Yamako. I call it to Akira in an effort to alleviate a bit of the heavy atmosphere. That your car? What kind is it? Don't know much about cars, do you? It's a Lancer Evo, solid and speedy. Well, it's not as if her comment on my knowledge is off the mark. I've never really taken an interest in them. She gives a small sigh. She's been good. Pity I have to part with it tomorrow, just like the summer house, when you guys were the last to visit it before it changed hands. Turning back from my rather faulty attempt at small talk, I glanced at Hanako and Lily, following behind us. By rights, Hanako should be leading Lily, but it's rather definitely the other way around as she clings tightly to Lily's arm. It's a depressing sight. So, I guess this is it. Indeed. Although, for the time for everyone has to say their farewells now, nobody wants to take the first step. It's as if the longer nobody speaks, the better the chances of them simply not leaving. Lily, do you really have to go? Sorry, Hanako. I won't be leaving you forever, though. I can still call you. Hisao will still be here as well. I nod, but Hanako just clutches all the tighter to Lily's arm. After spending so long without anyone to call family, it must be excruciating to have to say goodbye to that one person. That was as close to a mother as anyone could have been in her entire life. Lily lets out a long, sad breath. All Akira and I can do is stand by quietly on the sidelines, since the only person that can solve this would be Lily herself. Eventually, Lily pulls her arm from Hanako's grip, holds both of her shoulders gently, a much more decisive way to address than I've ever seen Lily take with her. Hanako, remember when we first met? When you entered my room for the first time after hearing my consoling of a friend, you didn't say a single word for the entire night. Even as I poured you tea and talked, you sat silently and simply listened to what I said. Many quiet meetings like that before you began to open up to me. But as you began to, I felt some of the happiest moments I've ever felt. I didn't become your friend because I pitied you, Hanako. I became your friend because I knew you were hiding not just from me, but from everyone. Your ambitions, personality, interests, tastes, I didn't know any of them, and neither did anyone else. As you showed yourself to me, though, I began to realize the person that you were, and you became sure that our meeting was a very special moment. But Lily cuts her words short as she brings her hand to Hanako's head and brushes her bangs to the side, gently pressing her lips to Hanako's forehead. She pulls her head back, leaving Hanako all but speechless and her eyes moist. Lily beams a wide smile. I believe you are a very beautiful person, Hanako, and I'm certain that you will become a strong and confident woman. You are a very dear friend, and someone whom I love very much, just like Hisao. I will never forget you for as long as I live. I may be leaving, but you have your own life here to lead, just as I do. You have your own friends and hobbies, and your own hopes after graduation. I want to devote yourself to them, even after I'm not around here anymore. Unfortunately, there are certain people that just stick with you for the rest of your life, and you just can't get rid of them, no matter what you do. They live rent-free in your head. And all the time I wish that... Actually, no, I don't. Sometimes I do. Wish that they didn't. That is why I think you will be okay, because you are your own self, with your own life. You've proved that to me. Hanako lowers her head in embarrassment, but nods as she does so. I understand. I know I have to say goodbye. I know you have to go your own way. But thank you, Lily, for everything. Thank you, Hanako. Will you be okay? There are a few seconds of silence before the answer comes. I will. Lily smiles, undoubtedly, at least partly in relief. It makes me very happy then. Bye. Goodbye, Lily. And farewell to you as well, he said. Bye. I'll miss you. She pauses for a moment before walking up to me. Her hand outstretched in front of her takes a hold of my shoulder. Her left hand slowly and daintily reaches toward my face, taking my cheek in her palm. For a while, she simply holds my face, fingers just slightly moving to take in its contours. Usually her hand would be warm when doing such a thing. The night's air has given her skin a cool edge. I'm not sure how long we could stay like this. Clouded eyes just pointed just below my own as she wears a wistful, almost distant smile. Eventually, though, I take her cold hand in mine. It's difficult to do so, but with a slight sigh, I gently remove her hand from my cheek. I hope you have a long and happy life, Lily, no matter where you might go. Thank you. I'll make sure to. She takes a long, trembling breath before turning slightly toward Akira's direction. Akira? Okay. With a nod, she takes Lily's hand and begins to guide her to the car beside the parked outside the gates. They both slowly walk slowly and deliberately, as if the movements have been rehearsed in advance. It's strange to feel like this now, watching somebody leave Yamaku. The feeling of unease as I have now reminds me of the first time I walked through those black, unwrought iron gates. I've always looked far too pompous for what they were. As they leave, all of us know full well that our lives are irreversibly changing. I'd always told myself that I'd just have to take life as it comes, but with things changing so fast, so suddenly. In the end, Lily's replaceable part of our lives is In the end, Lily's an irreplaceable part of the lives of both Hanako and me. The noise of Akira opening the passenger door for Lily brings me out of my thoughts. Her hand is waving back as Lily gets in. See you guys. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, Hanako. Goodbye, Hisao. Hanako's hand quickly shoots up, her face brightened by her enthusiastic farewell. Goodbye, Lily. Goodbye. See you, Akira. And goodbye, Lily. I'm not sure I would have been able to keep my composure then. The door shuts as we all put our best happy farewell faces, Akira getting in the car herself and starting it up in a short measure. Lily's hand can be seen waving through the tinted windows, both of our hands waving high as well. This, as every other time I've done such things, I can't work out precisely why I or Hanako waved to her given that she would never see us doing so. But it doesn't matter. Even after that black, shiny car goes down the hill and disappears into the dark night, We carry on waving, seeing Acura and Lily off. Then they're gone. Strange stillness takes over as our hands return to our sides. I don't know what I should do or how I should feel. In the end, we could just stand there silently staring down at where the car disappeared from the sight. Goodbye, Lily. All I can do is respond to her in quiet, mournful goodbyes to place a hand on her shoulder. She looks at me for a few moments before looking back down the hill, secure in the knowledge that I'm still around for her. What we'll do from now doesn't seem all that uncertain. We all have our own ambitions now, just as Lily said. Even so, it feels like there's a missing part in both of our lives now, something that can never be replaced. Yep, that's how it goes. Is there more? What the fuck? There's more? Are you gonna traumatize my ass more? Fuck you. Time for a drink. The snap of my mobile phone is closing contrast with the ambient chatter and noise audible even in the hallway outside the library. It's the first day of summer at the holidays, a time that had perpetually seemed so far away, and yet it's now not only here, but is also made painfully obvious by the other students, or lack thereof, left in the school. Most students have returned home to spend the holidays with relatives now. There are few that are left that are mostly chatting between themselves, usually about what they intend to do in the coming weeks. It makes me feel like the odd one out, for taking advantage of the school library being open for the first several days of the holidays. Ostensibly, it's for students to drop off any books they borrowed and have yet to return, and for those who will have their parents pick them up to help pass the time until they get whisked away. Thanks to the recent lengthy phone call from my parents, which had so rudely woken me from my sleeping on a beanbag at the back of the library, I'm now in the latter category. Sliding my phone into my back pocket, this time remembering to set it to silent, go into the quiet and wholly placid region. It's a nostalgic sight. This is when Lily first led me into the library. The orange tint of the sunset bathes the room in its light, while Hanako sits on the beanbag, silently reading Yu Kofus's just barely visible behind the counter. Hanako especially has been noticeably more quiet than usual since yesterday's happenings, but I can't really blame her. It wasn't just me that depended on that person after all. I quietly walked back to the beanbag near her where I sat before, being doubly careful not to make any unnecessary noise. The soft puff of it gives the bag as the bag takes my weight. It makes Hanako's eyes flick towards me, but only for a second. I get the feeling that Hanako's been quiet, but only partly out of sadness following Lily's departure. Rather, she seems more thoughtful and measured than I had expected, perhaps due to her desire of working out how to deal with Lily's leaving rather than just being depressed over it. It makes me a little proud for her. Hey, Hanako? Yeah? So going ahead with your idea of traveling? She gives a determined nod. I'll be starting in a day or two. Naomi's decided to come with me too. Wow, quick start. Where are you two headed off to first? I think we're going to start by going north, and then loop down and go southward. So Hokkaido's going to be first. She gives another nod, more tentative than the last. The significance of that place is not lost on either of us. You know how we're going to handle the traveling expenses? You know how you're going to handle the traveling expenses and accommodations? Yeah, I've worked everything out. I think it should be okay. Naomi says she has her side worked out too. You know that if you need anything, you just call, right? I gave you my number before. Any time of the day is fine. She gives a smile, which in itself feels like a small personal victory. I know. Thanks. Peace out. Maybe Lily was right. Although I may offer Hanako any help I could possibly give, I feel as if I know she doesn't need it. She really has grown. Hanako's plans for her holidays are in sharp contrast to my simple following my parents' suggestion to stay with them. Holidays has always made me feel less excited than most, though, so maybe this is just a return to the status quo. Before my heart attack, I've always lived so aimlessly that the holidays weren't all that much different from everyday life anyway. school, I'd wander around a bit in the city, hanging out with some friends, before making my way home to eat dinner, usually with one of my parents, but rarely both. Their work schedules didn't have much time for them to be home, and going there straight from school would have just meant I'd end up feeling bored. I was an urbanite through and through. Since coming through Yamako, though, it feels like I've fundamentally changed as a person. A phone call with my parents erased any traces of doubt I might have held on that, in any case. While before I'd exercised a fairly normal level of independence for a teenager, that being not a whole lot, my parents were more than pleased to hear of my newfound ability in taking care of myself. Laundry, cooking for myself, cleaning, all in addition to all the other general chores that had come up from living without my parents around, just little menial things I had to pick up with relative ease. When I think about it, I'd always depended on them, even if I hadn't been at home all the time. To say I never depended on anyone after moving to the Yamaku dormitories would be far from the truth, though. Yuko, excuse me? The two of us look up awkwardly at the fidgeting figure in front of us. Some things never change. It's getting close to closing time, so, Oh, right, I'd forgotten the library closed earlier during the holidays. Nico and I both get up and dust ourselves off, placing our books on the top shelf behind us. The fact that our tastes in reading material have a fair amount of overlap is useful at times. The bow to Yuko to apologize for taking so much time. Nico takes her leave of us. See you tomorrow, Hisao. Bye. And with that, she walks out of the large wooden aging doors that herald the entrance to the library. She's a quiet person, isn't she? I suppose I should be surprised at a staff member sharing personal opinions like this, but after knowing Yuko for a while, it's largely expected. Our relationship's more personal rather than the one with her acting as an authority figure. Yeah, I think that's just how she is. She's got a lot more confidence in herself nowadays, though. I don't know her as well as you do, but I think I agree. It's nice to see her talking to people here. She never used to do that before. Hey, Yuko, you know about Lilly's leaving, right? She told me herself a few days ago. It must be hard leaving everyone behind like she is. She quickly looks back to me after she says, probably remembering that I went to her for advice on a relationship between Lilly and me before. Are you going to be okay? It's a difficult question. Something I'd rather not think about for now, though, given more pressing issues. Something seems kind of off about this whole deal, don't you think? Yuko appears to think for a while, absent-mindedly scratching her face up in a variety of creative ways as she does so. I don't think I really know her well enough to make that kind of judgment. I'm sorry I can't be of more help. No, that's fine, I'm just sort of thinking aloud. I give a deep sigh and scratch my head in frustration. There's just so much stuff happening at once that I have no control over. It feels like I'm being swamped. I think everyone goes through times like that. What's more important is to concentrate on what you can do, rather than what you can't do. At least that's how I see it. If I didn't think like that, I don't think I'd be able to manage my life as it is. He says with a smile and a light tone, but her words are far from any kind of joke. Being pulled between two jobs just as she is, just hopefully to make enough money to not only live, but also from university, must be exhausting. Perhaps that's why, coming from her, this feels like it has more meaning than if it had come from most others. I guess you get a point there. Thank you for your advice once again, Yuko. She bows deeply and smiles again before making her way back to the counter where she spends so much of her time. Tiny wings of the cardboard crane. The tiny wings of the cardboard crane in my fingers are only just visible in the dim light of my room, just a little of the moonlight being able to peek through the curtains and around their edges. I lie still in the dark bed for a long time, idly looking at the little origami bird. It feels like a lot has happened since Lilly folded this, but at the same time it feels like very little has changed. Compared to everyone else, I'm back to square one. I might have a newfound idea of where I want to go in life, but that's hardly something that affects me now. Nico changed, I know that much. If anything, It just makes me feel like I've got no excuse to be like this, considering her previous situation. She wasn't in love with her, dude. You lost a lot. Lilly, though, turned the bird in my fingers another way, looking at it from yet another angle. When I first met her, she seemed aloof and perhaps somewhat distant. Her actions were always careful, measured, and precise, and her carefully maintained composure always gave the appearance of unerring confidence and serenity. I should turn on. Okay, I'm gonna turn. Okay, what's that? Wow. My face hurts. 1 second. I'm gonna do this properly. See, do I have monitoring turned on? Ow. I have monitoring turned on. In a second. No, I do not. Okay. I'm gonna turn on filters. And we'll turn on lip top. Okay. That should be enough reverb. In time, she became less formal. Bit, but enough. It felt good to see her lowering her inhibitions around me and opening up, even just a little, of her own accord. It felt as if I was seeing her real self slowly become more vibrant and visible. Now, though, I'm beginning to have doubts. Perhaps there's to be expected after what is, effectively, two of us breaking up. They don't feel new or strange, though, but rather like an old book being found and dusted off. Soon I realized after meeting Lilly that she saw me, she did Hanako, as someone who needed help and care. At first, I simply thought that we'd be fine as friends, helping each other through our limited time together at school. But then I began to treasure our moments together more and more, our quiet walks, or talking over lunch. The good sides of her personality became ever more obvious and ever more likable. The absence caused Lily's trip to Scotland to visit her long-distance family, and sick aunt made me realize how much I liked just being around her. And I thought that she felt a similar way. For her, though, maybe that wasn't everything to our relationship. Even after she returned to Japan, that just meant she lost her family once again, for meeting them for such a brief time. She lived so much of her life without her family around, not to mention accurate working long hours, that she had little choice but to be like that. I thought her sense of independence was to be a good and admirable trait. It was a stark difference to my reliance on my parents before my heart attack, as reluctant as I may have been to admit it. However, it also meant that she never let people get too close to her. She lost her family, likely due to her blindness. She went to a different school from anybody she knew because of it, and worked all the harder to make sure she didn't end up a burden on her sister and those around her. God. Fuck. And now an actor is going to Inverness, just like the family she thought she'd lost. I'm turning this off. Just a moment here. I just realized that I really relate to Lilly a lot. Although probably not to that degree, but I can definitely see it. She never told me of her plans, conflicted as she was about them. Yeah, fuck it. Let's turn it. Lily didn't want to be burned to anyone, including me. I'm an idiot. And I never questioned her. I never tried to be there or asked when she needed me to. I just set my life up and expected it to stay that way forever. The two of us having a nice long relationship where we pushed forwards to our future together. A small bit of frustration and anger and myself wells up in my chest. I just let everything happen, never even trying to help Lily. Just being there was enough, and I thought I could keep going if that were true. But that could have never been enough. And childlike dependence on somebody without an attempt to understand or help their situation. Thanks to that, I lost Lily. I lost the one person I loved most, because I wasn't there for her when she needed me. Fuck. Fuck. This is tough. An increasingly angry feeling washing over me, I turn over and set the crane back to the desk near my clock, where it once lived, where it has lived since the day she folded it for me. Since that was the day she said herself that my burdens need to be my own. The obnoxious bright red numerals, the red alarm clock shine through the darkness of the room onto my tired eyes. 1 o'clock, evening, curfew will be soon. I wondered. Akira mentioned they'd be leaving this evening. I had no idea when their flight was, but that means there's a chance, however small, that they might not have already left. The dawn starts to move through my body as I sit up in the bed, my eyes suddenly wide for the possibility. There's no guarantee they haven't left. Indeed, it's likely they may have already have, but there's also a chance that they haven't, however small it may be. Just this once, just as I should have before, I stand up and rush to my cabinet, throwing out some clothes as fast as I can and sliding them on in quick succession. Each second that goes by is a second I can't regain, a second that may mean the difference between catching them and losing them forever. And if I fail, I have to try. I can't let her leave everything behind without even trying to stop her, without just this once being there for her. With the last of my clothes slipped on, I hastily grabbed the phone off my desk. Luckily, the last number of the local taxi is still in my call history. Please, God, don't fucking tug me. God damn. Gruff, enthusiastic voice announces the name of the company while I pace over the room. It takes a little effort to slow down my voice and keep it clear over the phone. A chilly night air sweeps against me as I open the dormitory door, but nevertheless, I keep up my brisk speed as I half jog, half run to the school gates. It may not be curfew yet, but it's precariously close. If there was a guard around, they'd have no doubt they have some questions for me, but it looks like I've managed to come out just before they arrive, or they're around a corner. That pace picks up as I make my way through the school gardens, the nighttime allure all but lost as I begin to run to the school gate. The lamps of the courtyard, dim as they are, provide just enough illumination to the light of the way and prevent me from tripping over. The buildings themselves take on a rustic, almost antique-looking edge when I glance at them. Looking back, it seems strange. That they once appeared so dark and looming to me. Now they just look to be somewhat anachronistic school buildings, the same as the others bar their age. Well, leaving the gates behind me, I pull up to stop just before the taxi, parked just as Akira's car had been. Its gaudy and brightly lit sign looks out of place in the quiet country backdrop. I impatiently squeeze myself through the door, giving the driver the address where the two should hopefully be staying. By the time the taxi pulls up, it's maddening casual speed. It's well and truly deep into the night. The house is truly enormous, its sheer size much larger than I expected, and the ominously still. During the worst, I ask the driver to stay just in case my efforts are for naught. A single press on the fancy intercom system outside the gate produces a short electronic melody in the otherwise silent road. It's not long before a somewhat deep, rough voice can be heard from it. This is the Hakamichi residence. Please state your name and why you're bothering us this late. I press on, despite inwardly wincing at the reasonable annoyance audible in his voice. It's Hisao Nakai. I'm hoping to meet Lilly or Akira if they're still here. Surprisingly, I managed to summon quiet energy to my voice, enough to make the other side of the intercom silent. Nice, I gotta take a drink. Oh my god. A few seconds pass, but just before I press the button again and ask what's going on, the light turns on outside the front door. I strain my eyes to try and make out who's coming through, but just as he comes past a large parked car with fishing rods sticking out the back, his identity becomes clear. His face typically placid and emotionless as he saunters up to the gate. He's still childlike in his mannerisms despite his demeanor. With the press of a few buttons from behind the fence, the gate slowly opens. Hisao, what are you doing here? I think this is the most emotion I've ever heard from his voice. Not that it would be hard to reach from that mark. Akira told me that she and Lily would be staying here before they left for their flight. I need to talk to Lily just one last time. Are they still here? The look on his face says everything. God damn it. I failed. It's too late. one time I actually need to act quickly and... Actually, it's possible. Wait, what? What is it? It's taken a bit back by my fervor, but I can't help it at this point. They left not long ago, a few minutes before you arrived. In fact, if you go straight to the airport, you might be able to... He's out! I dart back, waiting to the taxi, grabbing what little money is left in my pocket as I go. Thanks, Hideaki. And I take my seat, in short order, bark out my destination. My chest beats wildly as I tear down the street, my body twisting this way and that to slip between the pedestrians walking back and forth beside me. The road solidly blocked by taxis and other cars, dropping off passengers and picking up others by the time they have to wait. We ended up having to stop almost a block away. But that's in the past now. What matters is reaching Lilly. One foot hits the ground, the other following without the slightest thought, as my legs have taken a life of their own, and all my mind can do is concentrate on the view ahead of me. Just one glimpse of that long hair of hers, that long yellow hair that was the same color as the wheat that was stretched as far as the eye could see. In the end, I depended on Lilly, just as Hanako did. Codependency. Yep. Even after we started going out, it still doesn't feel like she ever really let herself depend on me. Except for one moment. One moment where we held each other tightly in that bright yellow field. That time she must have feared losing me just as she did everyone else. That's why, just this once, the night air wraps around me, draining every last remnant of warmth out of my body, to the extent that it feels more like midwinter than a summer night. My fingers, my hands, my feet, they all feel increasingly cold. The sound of passing crowds is reduced to no more than background hum, while the sound of my shoes hitting the pavement echoes loudly, every step surging towards the person I have to catch. Forced by my chest tightening in response to the cold of the night, I rest an arm over it to try and settle it down. When the airport comes into view, though, I realize this feeling is one I've felt before. Not now. Of all times for this, please, not now. I gulp, soldier on regardless, pushing my body as far as it will go. Sweat pours off me as I hurtle forward, my shoulder hitting someone's side, my mind suddenly flooding with emotions and memories. Continue on without an apology. I have to keep moving now. If I stop, I'm not sure I could begin again, and even if I could, it would all be for naught if I'm not in time. I hit another person, another, offering a little resistance to getting bounced about. My feet feel numb, my arms are losing all feeling, my chest forces me to hunch over awkwardly, tightening ever more. That afternoon, in the snow, time when my life irreversibly changed, images of Iwanako and that damned letter flash over in my mind, the first love I've lost linked to my condition. Can't let that happen again. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just see her one last time. There! A sliver of yellow and white comes into view a distance down the road, her figure silhouetted by the lights emanating from the airport entrance. Lilly! Lilly! Lilly, stop! Please, Lilly! Come on, Lilly. I know your hearing's far beyond Yeah. My view suddenly spins out of control and ends up on the ground, my body haphazardly sprawled after hitting someone and stumbling over. Before I can assess the damage, an unbelievable pain ignites my body. My thoughts are blanked as I curl up and frantically clutch at my chest. Hey, you okay? That was a really bad fall, but this pain. I can't. A sharp knock could do me in. Any overexertion, the thought I could overcome my limits this once. Something's wrong with him. What's the matter? Are you... The voices of those gathering around me gradually replaced by the loud ringing in my ears. By now I'm unable to move my head. Eyes turn upward to see the mute moving of their lips. Even as I clutch my chest, I realize I can't feel my fingers anymore, nor my feet. It feels like my entire body is shutting down, starting from my extremities. With one last effort, I turn my head down to the road towards the airport entrance that's casting light over it. Lilly is behind the crowd. Her head is tilted, but only just slightly. I can feel my vision dimming as I try to yell out, but nothing emerges from my mouth, despite my best efforts. Slowly but surely, my vision begins to black out the scene before me. So, this is how it ends. I failed. I was so close, so very close, but at the very last moment, the condition seized my last chance at a new life and dragged me back. Now I'm going to die, sprawled out just meters from an airport, crowd of babbling people surrounding me, and Lilly leaving for Scotland. A little distance ahead. Lilly. That last word extinguishes my last of my energy. The world falls into a deep, inescapable blackness as every muscle in my body shuts down. I'm sorry. It's too late. More? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my fucking god. What's going on? You explain. As I slowly open my eyes, a bright light assaults my retinas. For minutes I lay where I am, mindlessly staring ahead while scattered thoughts coalesce in my slowly waking mind. Slowly but surely, the light becomes into focus. Its bare expanse begins to be drawn across my field of vision. It's only when the light fixture comes into view that my mind clicks that this is the ceiling above me. Slowly levering myself up, I silently absorb through all my senses the details of the room I'm in. The smell and taste of strong bleach hang in the air, lending the impression of the place just slightly too clean to be natural. Offensive, pale, peach-colored walls. Sorry, covered my face. I need to take a breath. All perfectly painted without a crack, stain, or imperfection. A single-frame painting hangs on the wall, perfectly straightened. The walls, it's as boring and inoffensive as it can be. My attention is grabbed by the translucent curtain waving across my vision. My eyes following it to the open window it covers. When I move my right arm to try and lift myself up and look through it, I feel the catheter dig in uncomfortably. It's only now, too, that I notice the cannula tubes winding around my cheeks and into my nose. After some fidgeting, I settle for just looking around the corner of the window. Beyond the thick leaves of several large trees, I see the greenery below, backing out into the field. Customary island of green on the outskirts of the city. Judging by the sun outside, it's noon. Which day, though, I'm not sure. So, I'm in the hospital, once again. I let out a long, tired breath as I try to collect my scattered thoughts. My mind seemingly cast in a dozen directions, all at once, with as many emotions running through me. Damn. So after slowly lying back down, I decide to start from the beginning. I'm here. Cast my mind back, but I can't work out the smooth recollection of what's happened. The events of last night, which it was, came back more as a series of snapshots than any cohesive memory. Lying on the bed, looking at the origami bird. Talking to Hideaki outside the Hakamichi residence. Running down the street, passing pedestrians and bumping into more and more of them. Falling. Looking up at the searingly bright airport entrance, seeing Lily's back as I lay on the ground. The silence of the private room suddenly feels overwhelming. So that's it. I had a chance to correct my mistake and blew it. Oh, yep, time for the voice. It's time for the voice. Un segundo, por favor. The voice. Oh yeah, let's make sure I got this up. Okay. Whether I was fault for neglecting my medication and disregarding to pace myself, my body was for giving out so soon, doesn't matter now. What matters is that once again, I'm alone. Pastel blue pillow yields with little resistance. I let myself fall back onto the bed, starchy case, along with the starchy sheets, providing little comfort. Compared to the darkness of the last night's events, the bright light of the room around me is striking. Well, it does those, besides how otherworldly places like this are. Arrhythmia. Strange word. Foreign, alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. It's a miracle that you were able to go on so long without anything happening, they said. Then, it did. My condition had taken away everything. Old school was no importance anymore. Home was reduced to a faraway place. With my friends, my first love simply stopped visiting after a length of time. I became cynical and embittered, distant and subdued. In my defense, no person could avoid that after such a thing happening to them. But nonetheless, I left the hospital as a very definitively changed person. Things changed. I made new friends in Hanako, Shizune, Misha. I found a new sense of home in my dormitory, a new sense of science, interest in science and the world around me. I found a direction to my life that I'd never felt before, but I also discovered other things. A sense of isolation in Yamaku, and that surrounds it is not entirely unwelcome. The quiet giving a peace of mind that I might not have found elsewhere, but it gave an area a feeling of being pushed out of the way, being kept out of sight. People out in the streets would sometimes glance awkwardly, or would quickly turn their heads as they realized they were staring. Even if my condition wasn't visible, my uniform was. Even if it weren't, I was still different. I took 17 pills a day, morning, midday, night. The scar, though hidden in behind the clothing, was still a permanent mark of my condition. Most of all, there was a very real possibility of death. A bad fall, an absent-minded heart hit on the back, a simple sprint taken too far. Anything could have set my heart up. Several times I teetered on the edge of the abyss, even with all the care I took care of myself. But that was fine. I could have lived with all that. Because there's one thing I'd found, rather refound, after entering Yamaku, which was, once again, snatched away before my eyes. It's only now that I realized just how delicate my newfound sense of happiness was. Everything depended on her, the linchpin of my life since I entered Yamaku was sullen, confused, and aimless transfers to me. Lilly Sato was the one person I could depend on above all others, reciprocate that love I felt for her. But I failed her, and only realized it all too late. I thought I could just set my life up and continue that way forever. The real world doesn't work like that. I finally realized the meaning of those words, only to be struck down as I confronted my failure to do so in time. The surroundings I'm in now are all too familiar. It's as if Yamaku was but a dream, still recovering from the first major heart attack. That's why I feel so tired. It is almost as if I've lived the entire last few months of my life in the space of minutes. The weight of my eyelids closes on my eyes, my physical and mental exhaustion letting me offer no resistance. Intelligible mumbling from the head of the bed stirs me out of my sleep. My eyes still closed, I can focus and make out someone, presumably a nurse, bidding farewell to a doctor. I open my eyes and notice the door closing in my peripheral vision. The doctor stands, reading some notes off his clipboard held in his hand, carefully looking over the pages. After consulting his obviously very important documents, he looks up and notices my gaze. It's now that I notice something slightly odd about his expression and general disposition that I can't quite put my finger on. Ah, I see you're awake, Mr. Mikai. His quick glance to my bed to verify my name shows that his documents obviously didn't have it written on them. I must admit this is a bit unfortunate. Your parents visited just earlier while you were asleep. I could notify them that you're awake now if you'd like. Thanks. That would be good. He gave a somewhat dazed reply, most likely the one he'd expect, while really thinking about what I'm saying. Not a problem. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer them. That is, unless you prefer to rest. The anesthetic's still going to be affecting you a bit, I'm afraid. Anesthetic? Of course. That's why it felt so strange the first time I woke up. I slowly shake my head, not wanting to dislodge any pipes or cause myself any more discomfort than necessary. The doctor politely shuts down his clipboard in response. I guess my main question is, what exactly happened? Put it simply, you've unfortunately had another heart attack. While not as severe as your first, you're very lucky it occurred close to a hospital. After being stabilized, you were taken to the operating room. What followed was a keyhole surgery in order to insert a temporary pacemaker. All in all, the incident happened 2 days ago, with emergency treatment being carried out very soon afterward. Since then, we've kept you in close observation while you were sleeping. Will I be all right? Are there any lasting problems? Compared to the procedure carried out for your first head attack, this was relatively minor. While you will have to undergo surgery once more in a few days' time to remove the pacemaker, assuming there are no complications, there should be no lasting complications. Continues talking, the subject shifting to repetition of facts about arrhythmia and medications that I already know for the most part. I start to nod and feign interest while my mind drifts. I begin to think about how perfectly hung the inoffensive painting on the wall behind his shoulder was, and how neat and sterile the surroundings are, including the doctor himself. If I'm mumbling bores you, you're quite welcome to say so, Mr. Nakai. Lord knows I lose track of myself sometimes. He gives a short chuckle as a self-deprecating joke as I grimace upwardly, having been rather badly caught out. The doctor's chuckle sounds different from that of the nurse at Yamaku, though, come to think of it. As I ponder why, I realize the man in front of me just feels that little bit off. His smile is neat and sterile. He delivers his joke perfectly, the customary inoffensive chuckle. It's like, rather than talking to the man whose name is neatly printed on the name tag, printed on the lab coat, merely interacting with an actor reading off a pre-rehearsed script, every action having been choreographed beforehand. I suppose he has to be this way, though, being a doctor. He has to keep his neat and sterile smile while chatting with the girl with cancer slowly spreading through her body, and reassuring the woman who will surely die from childbirth with every other terminally and critically ill patient. That little bit of distance, that little bit of aloofness, makes me wonder if I've been too harsh, especially considering it's a disposition far from being adopted only by people in his profession. After all, the one I love kept that same distance from others herself. Looking up to the doctor again. Well, now he finally gets it. It only took a heart attack for him to get it. And she probably realized this when he couldn't pile drive her on the bed without grabbing his heart. When looking up to the doctor again, I realize I've been in thought with my head bowed for some time. I understand you must be tired. Been through a lot, and as I mentioned before, the anesthetic would still be effective. If you don't mind, I'll let you get some rest and tell your parents you've woken up for you. I think that would be good. Thank you. It's a curt nod before picking up his clipboard and making his way to the large white door in the corner of the room, closing it behind him with a thud. In the end, I'm alone again. This happens to all of us, man. Lily's gone, Akira's gone, Monica would be traveling, and even my parents have already left the hospital. Four pale peach walls, one white ceiling, a single open window to look out towards the world outside. Hard to think of a future when the past is crowded around you. Claustrophobic, it's neat, sterile, starchy, bleach-smelling room. Lost for what to do or focus on, content myself with sleeping the time away as this were just another dream like Yamaku had been. White. Sterile, clean, white for a sterile, clean room. Eyes open, I simply stare at the ceiling for some time. It's about as interesting as the television. Then the metal rack came off the ceiling. But indeed, the television saw its entire use during the time my parents were here, left on quietly as they waited for me to wake. It's about as banal as it had been the first time I ended up in the hospital. Every day, the attending nurse offered to turn off the EKG speakers. I refuse simply because the sound is so entirely normal to me. Almost comforting. The metronome like regularity gives it some feeling that time is moving, even in a place such as this. For some time, listening to its beeping while I fully awaken, though, I realize there's another sound. Concentrating all my efforts on listening, tasks made rather easy by the lack of distractions, a tiny melody can be heard. Light and quiet, the music almost sounds as fragile as it's dwarfed by the EKG's pulses. Tilting my head just slightly to the side in an effort to see the source of melody without dislodging any of the sensors and pipes stuck onto me, I noticed a little wooden box sitting on the nightstand next to the bed. My mouth opens just slightly while I watch the tiny yellow metal drum slowly rotate inside, with little bumps on its surface gradually moving from out of sight. The music box, one I Lilly, you fucking. Why? The creaking of the door breaks me out of my reverie, my head and heart remaining still. My eyes turn to see Plum's throat. Long tan skirt, peach off the shoulder sweater, pale as porcelain skin, blue clouded eyes. I can't. Fuck this game. All I can do is stare as Lily walks into the room, her fingers lightly running over the wall for orientation. My mind comes shuddering to a halt. Lily? She stops mid-stride, her entire body tensing. Isao? Is that you? Her voice quiet, pensive, echoing her expression. I thought you would. Lily takes one tentative step forward, and then another, as if she were holding herself back. Her control over her composure is phenomenal. Finally rushes over where I lay as the last of her resistance falls. I'm slightly taken aback when she grabs a hold of me, hunching over as tears begin to fall from her cheeks. Since only 2 minutes ago, I thought she was on the other side. It's my. I've had that all the whole fucking time. Wow. I had that all the whole fucking time. That's gonna be fucking. Since only a minute ago, I thought she was on the other side of the world. After a moment of hesitation, I rest my right hand on her soft shoulder. Isao. Isao. Lily's body trembles as her tears blot the pale green sheets, her emotions flooding through her carefully maintained exterior. With her face now closer, and made easier to see, her pale skin being lit by the sunlight from the window, I notice her cheeks being redder than they should be. It's okay, Lily. I'm okay. You don't need to. She rights herself quickly, her crying forcefully stifled, both sadness and stubbornness remaining in her moistened eyes. Her prideful nature always had been something to contend with, takes me off guard. Stop telling me not to worry about you, Hisao. Just this once, let me cry. I'm caught speechless. She waits for a response, but her composure breaks again after a handful of seconds. I swallow hard and try to settle down my own emotions while she weeps into my bed, a strange mixture of relief and depression welling up. Lily's here. She's really here. I couldn't feel her skin under my hand. I'd hardly believe my own eyes. My efforts weren't for nothing. My body's attempt to take away everything that was important to me. Once again, I've been foiled. But now I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. Seeing her here, crying like this over me, this is the one thing I wanted to avoid since coming to love her. No, even since leaving the hospital. I'm sorry, Lily. It's my fault I'm here. I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. Get a self-deprecating snort. After months of keeping myself together so nobody'd worry of me, I went and did something like this. Guess I'm pretty dumb. With a couple of sniffs and a long breath, Lily managed to pull herself together and calm down a little. Despite her red cheeks and moist eyes and the lines of her tears still visible, she delicately wears that weak smile she seemed to so often give. You needn't blame yourself. I heard later that it happened as you were running down the road after me, right? Still. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, returning more to her old self as the rush of emotions wore off. Why did you run after me, Hisao? I moved to respond, but I noticed her face tightening. Even after I said goodbye, and I'd left Yamaku Academy. She takes a moment to steady herself, her emotions almost bubbling up once again. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. Sorry. The times I wasn't there when you needed me. Till now, I thought you were just being there would be enough. I only needed you by my side to make any day feel better. Even my body may be like this, I want to help you, Lily. Be there when you need something. You were always there, he said. Why did you want to go to Scotland, Lily? Why? I told you before, because Akira's going, because my family summons their home. Why didn't you say that you wanted to go? I'm not stubborn often, but this is one time I think I need to be. I want you to stay here, Lily. I want you to stay where everyone you know lives. And all your dreams and ambitions are made. If you choose to stay, I'll never leave your side. I won't let you lose another person. When I had my heart attack, I was snatched away from everyone and everywhere I knew. You showed me a new life after I came to Yamaku. I'd lost my past, but you showed me a future. It's true that I haven't always been there for you. I'm unreliable. Sometimes I've lied, and I thought I'd come to understand you when I hadn't even understood myself. Be that as it may, I want to give you a future as well. I want to be there for you. I want to share both your burdens and your happiness, just like I promised back in Hokkaido. I want you to trust me. I know I had problems coming up to put my trust in you. You're losing so many people. I know I'd after my heart attack, but I know that's how that being unable to trust others can feel awful. It really fucking does. It really does. That's why I can't watch you just throw everything away like this. I never want to go through what I did. I would do anything to stop that. You can be quite steadfast when you want to be, can you? Can't you? As I said, it isn't often. A weak smile drops, though, as the IV in my arm digs in a little. It's a harsh reminder of my tether to my condition. Lily's face tenses as I let out a small gasp of pain, immediately making me wish I'd stifled it better. All I can do is sigh in defeat. I tried not to let anyone worry over me for the entire time I left the hospital, but I can't even stop the one person I love most from crying over me. Even if I might finally be able to put my feelings into words, I feel pretty useless with a body like this. Every time I tried to reach towards something, just snatched away. Even now, things only turned out for the better due to luck. I guess that's something else I should apologize for. All I can never do is make you worry. Even now, there's very little chance I'll live anywhere near a full life. With Lily's warm, soft hand moving over my left cheek makes me lift my head up. Her small, gentle, and warm, she touches me. I think that is something very natural for you to say. You're always so sincere and self-conscious. You're also reserved and mild-mannered, and patient to a fault, methodical, yet curious about everything and everyone. When I said I missed you while I was with my family, I wasn't lying or exaggerating. The thought of you was never far from my mind, and it helped me through that time. That's why I was so confused about what to do when my family summoned me. And after I thought I had made my decision, you tried your hardest to challenge me about it. I didn't confess to you out of pity or believing that you were somehow different from what you are. I confessed because I never want to lose you, and want you to always be part of my life, no matter what might change. Fuck this game. I don't know if I can finish this. You're a very beautiful person, he's out. Your heart changes. None of that. So please don't apologize for yourself anymore. For a long time, silence reigns in the room. I'm not really sure what this newly born feeling inside of me is, but it pales in insignificance as I wordlessly gaze into Lily's smiling face. Warm and gentle as it's always been. It's only as her thumb crosses my cheek, wiping away a single drop of moisture, that I realize this is all I've ever wanted. It feels like the first time I give an earnest, wide smile, As Lily feels it against her palm, she returns the gesture. More time passes before either of us says a word, either of us needing speech to communicate our feelings to each other. I know I can't promise that I'll always be around, or that we'll be together forever. With some difficulty, I slowly lift my hand, placing it on her pale shoulder. But I think I can at least take you to next year's Hanabata festival to make up for making you miss this year's. Lily's expression is one of surprise, though I can't say I blame her. You remembered that? Yeah, of course I'd remember all the good things that happened to me. Why else would I still be alive? Got a pretty good memory, sometimes. She raises her head a little and takes her hand from my cheek, giving a small, amused giggle. I smile absent-mindedly at how earnest it is, almost girlish in its lightness. Still smiling warmly, she collects herself and stands upright with a hand resting on my chest. It feels like I'm seeing her for the first time, the sun in this window glowing behind her as it did when I first walked into that room where she was drinking tea. Very well then, shall we make it a promise between the both of us to go to next year's Tanabata together? Even if she can't see me doing so, I nod approvingly. I promise. I promise. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's so fucking late. Is that it? Are we done? Did we do it? Is it over? Wow. Fuck, man, that was... What the fuck was that? Honestly. Editing. Music, blue, art, Kamifish. FMV animation. Mikey Nell, of course. Good job, Mikey Nell. Appreciate you so much. You are a badass and my inspiration to even do animation at all. Wow, This was a wild ride, man. This game was a fucking ride, dude. Like, I just have no words. A lot of it I can relate to from my own experience, minus the, being in the hospital all the time. But, like, I never felt like... Oh, what's this? We got an epilogue. Akira and Lily and I silently sit on the grassy embankment high above the local town, breeze gently blowing through the cloudless sky. We may be just a few minutes walk from town, on the hill, just outside its limits, but the view is entirely unexpected. Lily sits beside me, her eyes closed as the gentle breeze flows through her hair. This is a nice area. Yeah, I never knew a place like this was anywhere near Yamaku. And I had to be the one to find it, of course. Akira's grin was genuine, but her tone is slightly different from her usual carefree nature. It's good that you're out of the hospital, though, Hisao. Nobody's more glad than I am. I can't stand hospitals. So, you two are going to the school tomorrow? Yep. Akira chuckles in amusement before looking back out the town window, the trees between the buildings swaying in the field. Pity we couldn't go up north for the summer holidays or get to Tanabata. I wouldn't worry. There's always next time. You'll be graduating before the next summer vacation, won't you? Yeah, there'll still be college after that, mind. Going to the same one? Likely. We both have high enough scores to meet the entry requirements. Oh my god. Fuck. You sound so sure. Don't worry, you're better than I in most subjects. I guess we'll work it out in due time. That's the way. Just enjoy yourselves in Yamaku while you're there. Lee gives a sad sigh at the distinction made between Akira and the two of us. Do you really need to go back to Scotland? Yeah, the folks are already out for my blood as it is. You weren't meant to stay this long? She gives her trademark wide grin. Setting up my boyfriend up with a passport took some time. You're taking him with you? Just for a while at first. He's a surprisingly worldly guy. I think he'll do just fine. Akira gives an amused snort. If our father had his way, I'd have him gone a long time ago. I just couldn't pass up an excuse to stay with my favorite little sister a little while longer, though. She leans right and gives Lily a tight, playful hug, cheering her up considerably. It's nice to be with you one last time, though. For what it's worth, I'm in the same boat. Thanks, you two. I'll try to come back sometime. Don't worry. It's a shame that business keeps you so busy. And this place won't run itself, I'm afraid. I think I'm just going to be the same over there. Considering that, I'd better get going. Have fun over there, Akira. Haha, will do. With a slight grunt, she lifts herself with her hands and stands up, dusting herself off as she does so. Well, I better be off. The plane won't wait for me after all. Just a certain unusual wistfulness in her tone of voice. Eyes firmly planted on her sister. I'll be okay, Akira. Yeah, I know. Come now, it isn't that bad. You'll be able to see us again soon. It's strange that have Lilly reassuring a doubting Akira for once. She really has changed. Ah, shit. Bye, Akira. Bye. For a second, the dark-clad figure looks down at both of us, smiling widely, perhaps more widely than I've ever seen her do before. I need water. She lets out a long, slightly wavering breath to steady herself before leaving, but eventually slips her hand into her pocket and turns on her heel. And with that, she walks away, and held in the air as she goes. See you later, you two. Jazz tune with no beat, melody, or just direction to the very end. After a few moments of sitting silently, Lily and I pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. Turning towards her with a broad smile, I hold out my hand. Shall we be off then? She takes my hand in hers, with a gentle nod and a smile as beautiful and warm as ever. Indeed we shall, he sighed. God damn. This is just... Oh my god, it's so precious. As we set off to the school, that wonderful smile engraves itself onto my memory. That wonderful smile that we both share. Our pasts may be scattered and at times overshadowed by sadness, but they're also an irrevocable part of our lives and personalities. Even if I could change a single thing, I wouldn't, because my past was what led me here. That's why, even with all that's happened to us before, and all that may well befall us, together, we'll keep walking forwards. At least you can do it together. Forwards towards the future, our future. Wow, that was something else. That was... I thought it was going to be depressing towards the end, because in real life, it would have been just like the first... If I had someone do that for me, I would just... I mean, you probably heard it in my voice. I was just about to fucking cry. And yeah, that was a fucking ride. Anyways, let's take a look at the extras. We'll get a jukebox. What else they got? I'm kind of curious to see what else they got here now. They got a lot of songs. I'm about to listen to that later. Check out gallery. We have galleries, pictures. Oh, I guess you unlock these as you play it. Oh my gosh. Oh, damn. All of our memories. Get that. Get that. That's so cool. That's so fucking cool. The time where she's crying over us. Man, this is just... Wow. This is an amazing game. Like, this is like the best visual novel I've ever played in my entire life. Um, oh wow, and you can like replay it? And there's Emmy track sees how to reach Flint Rin. It looks like this is like the path thing. I see. Okay, Act 1. Completion 29%. Wow. That's crazy. Got cinema. Our buddy Mikey now. Yeah. I will say though that nice. This is so good. This is just wow. I think this is the perfect ending to this. This is wow. Well, that was Act 2. Okay. That is amazing. Best visual novel I've ever played. I am fucking tired. There's so much I felt during this, and I know that not everyone stayed for this, and I understand it's long and it's boring, but like, really, you guys gotta play this game. Um, I wish I played this sooner. I would have just this fucking game, man. I can't get over it. I just I love this game. All right, I'm gonna stop gawking over it. It's time to go the fuck to bed. There's so much shit I have to do. I need to return to the real world, coding. This will probably never happen to me. It was sad though, because I may or may not have a heart condition. It's not as bad as his though, or at least I think so. But I still worry that any moment I could end up just like him. And I don't like to think about it. It's best to move forward and do what you can. So, with that, I'm going to say, ja, matane. I honestly, I am considering taking a hiatus for next week. Um, I am dangerously low on money, and there are some personal projects I'd like to do that's different than streaming, and I need to sit down and carefully think my life. However, right now is not the time to do that. I really appreciate all of my subscribers for watching. I appreciate you, Yuki, and Galaxy for coming. Uh, and hope you had fun, at least, for a little bit. I'm getting too sentimental over this shit. Good night, everybody. Sleep well.